Any other discussion, Commissioner Noble?
No, I believe that covers the housekeeping items.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. We're going to determine the quorum. And so I'm going to call Commissioner's name. If you would signify by saying here or present, we will make sure we have a quorum for tonight's business. Commissioner Eric Linjo, 4D01. Thank you. Commissioner Renee Bowser, 4D02. I'm here. Commissioner Ariane Rodriguez Bouquet, our secretary, in 4D03.
Present.
Okay, and Commissioner Israel, our treasurer, 4D04.
Present.
Commissioner Eric Smith, 4D05.
Present.
Yes, I thought I saw him. And Commissioner and Vice Chair Jonathan Noble, 4D06.
Present.
Okay, we do have a quorum. In fact, we have everybody present. And now we will move to the agenda. Does anyone have any deletions or additions or modifications to the agenda? I'd like to start. I would like to move up Captain Franklin Porter to speak to us before the commissioner's announcements. And we're going to, we can delete the State Board of Education representative from the agenda, and also the council member's office, Ms. Aura Heredia Cruz Heredia, excuse me, said that she was unable to attend this evening. So I don't believe we have anyone from the council member's office to give us an update.
Apologies, Chair Bowser. Where do you want to move Captain Porter on the agenda?
If I could move him before the commissioner's announcements.
Got it. Thank you.
And I'd also like to take off, since I did not hear back from him, there should be on the agenda, yes, the BZA application for 300 Ingraham Street Northwest. I reached out to him about a week and a half ago, but he may be on vacation and he did not respond last week or this week. So we'll have to move that to September.
Got it.
Chair Bowser, one modification I'd like to make is under the community grant new business to replace the Widow's Pantry with United to Rise. The Widow's Pantry got in touch with me today saying that they are not submitting a revised application right now, but United to Rise did. So I just like swap those two out, and that's it.
And I'd also like to add Gabriella Massi, who is the chair of Uptown Main Street, for her to talk about the resolution she's asking the ANC to pass, because the agencies are requiring that they get ANC approval for the Out All Night event, Art All Night event. And so I'd like to place that in new business, if possible.
So is that the extent of new business?
Yes, that's what
Amendments to the agenda proposed?
yes, those are my amendments.
So I move that we amend the agenda to reflect those changes.
Any discussion from commissioners? Okay, hearing none. We got a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, great. And now, is there anyone in the public that wants to make a quick comment about the agenda? Okay, hearing none. We're going to be ready for a vote. The agenda with the modifications of removing an update from the council member's office, removing an update from the State Board of Education office, changing the place on the agenda for the Captain Porters for the MPD public safety update, substituting Widow's Pantry grant applicant for United to Rise grant applicant, and also adding Uptown Main Street into new business to talk about the resolution they're asking ANC 4D to pass. And also removing from the agenda the BZA application for 300 Ingraham Street Northwest. Are commissioners ready to vote? All for the modifications up to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So those modifications to the agenda are approved. Next, we have here on the agenda the commissioner's announcement. I was going to talk about the lead pipe replacement. It's going to be
Chair
about
Bowser?
five. Yes,
Chair Bowser, I think we just voted to move Captain Porter before the commissioner's announcement.
that's right. We definitely did. Thank you for that reminder.
No worries, no worries.
Okay, Captain Porter, I see you're here and I appreciate you coming, and I know your time is valuable. So please go ahead to give us an update on PSAs 403 and 407.
Great. I appreciate y'all inviting me. So what's going on in the last 30 days? Obviously, I'm Captain Franklin Porter for the 4th District. We're going to talk about just what's going on in the ANC area for the last 30 days. I'm going to combine it with a little bit with what's going on in the entire 4th District. The stats, the numbers that we had in the ANC is looking really good in the last 30 days. It is looking really good in the whole 4th District. Going down the line, obviously we had no homicides. We did have 2 shootings. The shootings occurred. One of them occurred on the 28th of June, around a little after midnight. Individual got shot in the right leg in the Angelica Kennedy Street. Another one happened 2 days prior to that one, on the 26th, a little after 2 a.m. Individual got shot in the right hand in the 5500 block of Illinois Avenue Northwest. Those 2 shootings are somewhat related. We are believing there's a little small crew beef that did kick off in the last month. I know we had the shooting down on Georgia and Quincy. I know if someone heard that shooting where 18-year-old lost her life, we believe that one is almost like a retaliation shooting for the one we had up on Illinois. So those shootings, and we also had a few shootings in the 3rd District that we think are related with this beef. So we're trying to get that under control. We increased patrols around Kennedy Street, Illinois, and down by the Petworth Metro and all around that area. And we're monitoring the crews and seeing what's going on and trying to get the violent interrupters in there, trying to basically trying to calm everything down. Other than that, those are the only 2 shootings we did have, and there are still open cases. Moving along to the robberies, we had 1 robbery, which is down from last year. We had 4 at this time last year. We had 1. The 1 robbery we did have happened on July 3rd, a little after 3 a.m. And it happened in the 5200 block of Georgia Avenue Northwest, right in front of this that restaurant that's right that location. Individual was leaving that restaurant, got into a fight, and then someone ended up taking his property at the time. I did have the ANC commission look into that restaurant to see if the restaurant had anything to do with the incident that happened in front of it. But just talk about the robberies. We did get hit really hard at the beginning of the year in the entire 4th District, where our robberies were really occurring during the morning time. We really got a hold of that. Our robberies have went down dramatically, almost 60 to 70% since the beginning of the year. But we're still in the entire district. We're still got that increase. So we're still working on trying to get that increase down before the end of the year. Going on the property crimes, you had 1 property crime in the ANC area, which is down. You had 3 theft models, which is down by 12. So the theft models look like they're on a decline going into the summer. That is real good. The thefts are up. We had 10 thefts, which is up by 7 from last year. And stolen vehicles, we only had 1 stolen vehicle in the ANC area, which is down from 5, which is really good. Trying to get that stolen vehicle under control where it comes to people leaving their vehicles running. We look like we're getting the word out, and we don't see too many of those type of thefts now. It seems like it's coming down, but just be mindful of your theft models in your area. When it comes to stolen wheels, we're still seeing that mostly in the northern area of 4th District, but it can come down to the south also. But just be mindful of definitely the wheels being stolen. Other than that, that's it for MPD.
Thank you, Captain Porter. Do we have any questions from commissioners for Captain Porter?
Yes, Captain Porter, I was wondering if you could describe for us, if you're aware of what changes in practice on the 4th District's part you think are leading to decreases in these crimes, or if it's more coincidental as of now.
No, I think it's the increase. What we did was at the beginning, obviously we placed a few people under arrest that was committing the robberies because there was a robbery spree going on at the beginning of the year where they were hitting us almost like every morning. They was hitting 4 or 5 robberies within the district. Well, eventually the detectives, we had a task force that worked downtown. They basically worked on that. They made a few arrests. Once you get a few people that's involved in that off the streets, then those sprees usually stop. What we did behind that, the commander put a robbery plan in effect where we put more traffic cars out. We put traffic cars out because the suspects are using stolen vehicles. So we started to increase patrols around that aspect, trying to do more traffic stops, make sure we up in the areas of Georgia Avenue, because where most of the robberies were occurring was around the metros where individuals are going to work, waiting for buses and stuff like that. So we started getting the word out when it comes to where the robberies are occurring. I think everything that we put in place and also putting more manpower out when it comes to overtime, stuff like that, has pretty much got the numbers down, but we still got a long way to go for the end of the year.
Any other commissioner have a question?
Yes, Captain Porter. I know we had the Fall Crime Initiative program underway last fall. I think between Jefferson and Longfellow streets. Do you have any updates on whether something like that will come back to Brightwood Park this fall? If any decisions have been made, or is there no chance of that happening again?
Well, I wouldn't say it's no chance. I mean, last year we did real good with the Fall Crime Initiative. It kept the crime down. Obviously, our violent crime going into the fall. This year, I know the chief has started a new program when it comes to, it's called the Violent Crime. It's an all-year plan, but unfortunately, it's only being done in the 6th and 7th district. So I'm not sure. We didn't do the Summer Crime Initiative because we got the entire year, the Violent Crime Plan. So I'm really thinking that what's going to happen is just like the Summer Crime Initiative didn't kick off. We're probably not going to kick off the Fall Crime Initiative. They're going to probably continue what they're doing over in 6 and 7D when it comes to the violent crime, because a lot of homicides do take place over in that area.
Any other commissioner have a question? I saw eye contact with you, Commissioner Linjo. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. All right. We will ask the attendees. Do any attendees have a question for Captain Porter? All right. If there's anyone on the telephone tuning in, please, you can, I think it's *6 yourself to unmute yourself, and you can make your comment or question to Captain Porter. Oh, I see a hand raised from Uptown Main Street. Go ahead, please. Ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Captain Porter, I have a concern from the business community, as it seems that scams are on the rise. And by scam, I mean many impersonators from utility companies and others taking money from businesses. I have encouraged them to please report these to the police. I've encouraged them to also call the Attorney General's office. What else do you recommend when some of them also include some type of identity theft? It's a mix of identity theft, impersonators, but in the end, it's people taking money from business owners illegally. And
right.
What should we recommend? I have a newsletter every week. I really want to alert people. And I just don't know what other way how to explain it to them. Not only how to avoid it, be on guard, but what to do when it happens.
Right. What you could probably definitely do is put in your newsletter. Well, first research MPD's Department of Fraud department. We have literally a fraud department that works downtown in the around the chief's office, and they basically do all fraud for the entire city when it comes to identity theft or fraud or things or scams, just like you're explaining. So I would definitely have citizens, or you can reach out to them and see if you could set up a meeting with the community, with the business community, and you could do a Zoom meeting, and they can explain a lot of stuff about different frauds and scams. Also, if they believe that it is a scam going on, they definitely have to report that to MPD. We can reach out to, like, if it's a company, if they're acting like they're a certain company, we can reach out to that particular company to make sure they are part of that company. So there's a lot of things, but they have to basically reach out to us for us to do that. But I think just getting the word out with maybe a Zoom meeting with our fraud identity theft department can probably help. Also, they can give a lot of stuff that I may be missing.
Thank you very much. I was not aware of that fraud division. I will look it up and seek out those contacts. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a hand of someone else. Do you still wish to speak?
No.
Okay.
thank
All right, thank you. If there are no more questions for Captain Porter, we will thank him for his information and his presence this evening.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you very much.
I would just add to Gabriella's comments there, because we have some experience with this. There's no problem ever asking someone for detailed credentials. If they show up at your home or your place of business and claim to be someone, they should have no issue providing detailed information if they're legitimate. And so everyone should, feel free to ask for that in that kind of situation.
Yes, and people from various agent utilities, they would have identifying outfits or uniforms, and they would have their IDs along the lines of what Commissioner Noble said. Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner. We're going to move on to it's labeled announcements. I'm going to take about 5 minutes to talk about it. We're trying to, as a commission, we want to make sure that all homeowners know that of the different programs that the Department of Energy and the Environment and the Department of and DC Water have with respect to lead service line replacement. Actually, DOEE, Department of Energy and Environment, primarily handles the income verification process for the assistance program. And that process, that the income level for one of the categories of programs is pretty high. It's up to 50% off for any household, and up to 100% of the cost for households with 100% of the median family income or less, which means one person could make $100,000 and still qualify for the plan. But let me say this, the plan has been updated. Homeowners can initiate lead pipe replacement on their properties with subsidies under 2 scenarios at this point. Where there are lead pipes on the private property, the homeowner's private property, and non-lead pipes in the public space, that's when the homeowner can receive the 50% discount on the cost of replacing the lead pipes up to $2,500, regardless of the homeowner's income. Even if the homeowner's income is $300,000, they can still receive 50% of the cost of that up to the cap. If the homeowner is 100%, as I said, or less of the median family income, which for one person is $99,600, they can receive 100% of the cost of the replacement of the lead pipes to copper pipes. And these are situations where there's already non-lead pipes on the public property and lead pipes on the residents' private property. And so DC Water also has replaces lead pipes as part of capital improvements. And there can sometimes they have capital improvements in the homeowners area. And I've corresponded with Emmanuel Briggs, who's the general manager of DC Water. And he said many times they'll announce the capital improvements at the beginning of the fiscal year, and they may reach out 18 months to 24 months. And he is going to send me information on the capital improvements that are in the area of ANC 4D. When they're capital improvements, what happens is DC Water will also remove the lead pipes on private homeowners' property as part of the capital improvements. But right now, I've just learned that there's some capital improvements along Illinois Avenue, and there are homeowners that are getting their lead service lines replaced for free. And that's what would happen. But I want to be able to let people know what capital improvements are anticipated, because if you know that there's going to be a capital improvement in your area in the next 12 or 18 months, you may decide to wait rather than do it all on your own to replace your lead service lines. Because if there are no capital improvements in the area and there's lead pipes in the public space as well as on your private property, if you want to replace your lead pipes, it's all at your expense. And that's why we need to know what capital improvements are in our area. So because if I have lead pipes on my property and lead pipes in the public space, and I want to change them this year now, I would have to bear the entire cost of replacing those lead pipes on my private property. Now, DC Water has a map online, and you can just Google DC Water lead pipe map, and you can find it. But I've looked up maps, looked on the map for my property. I looked on the map for property of someone else, one of my block captains on Kansas Avenue. My property had information. There are some properties like on 5400 block of Kansas Avenue, it mostly says no information. And so I asked DC Water what people can do, because you may not, I don't see enough of my pipes to see that I could determine that what material they are, whether they're lead, copper, brass, whatever. But the DC Water has a hotline, a dedicated hotline that can assist people. And I'll say it now and put it in the chat. It's 202-787-4044. And that's for people who, for people who are not online, so they can get information and communicate with DC Water to learn whether their pipes are lead and whether which category of the program they fit into. And it's also for people if they are online, but they see, because sometimes the map will say no information. And when it says no information, they also have a color 2-page, excuse me, document that shows you how you can determine whether your pipes are lead pipes or not. But the person I was speaking to was disabled. And I'm not disabled. I would never be able to do it because I don't see any exposed pipes to look at. So that's why you would want to call DC Water at 202-787-4044 or email them at lead@dcwater.com. And so basically that's it on the lead service line map. It'll have no information. It'll say whether there's whether the public side the property, the public space is non-lead pipes, and your private space are lead pipes, that's when the homeowner can get the subsidies, whether 50% discount or 100% discount, in order to get their lead pipes replaced. And there's an application, and the application is put out by the Department of Energy and the Environment. Again, I asked where there were people, it's online. If you're online, I could easily pull it up. But if you're not online, you can call or write DC Water. You can use the same hotline numbers, or if you need a copy of the application, I'd be happy to print one out and drop it by your house, because we want everybody to be able to take advantage of this program. And that's why, as a commission, we decided to give a brief explanation of it and also put it on our website, because so that's basically it. Are there any questions from commissioners? And are there any questions from our attendees?
Just to flag that it's been up on our website. So if folks want to visit anc4d.org, you'll find at the top information on the lead pipe replacement program that Chair Bowser spoke about. And I believe a few of us, at least I have, undergone this program, and it's wonderful. They're very responsive and they do really great work. So if you would like to reach out to any of us who have done it, I'm happy to share my experience.
And as I say, as soon as I get the information from DC Water, because Emmanuel Briggs said there's another division that looks into where they're forecasting where they're going to have capital improvements. We will send it. We can put it on the website, and also we can put it in our newsletters. I'll put it in the newsletter, because we want to make sure that everyone is aware that because lead, particularly, lead is harmful to all people, particularly children. And so we want to make sure people can get the lead removed from their service lines. Does anyone of our attendees have any questions about what we've just explained? All right, thank you. Moving on. DPR Roving Leaders Outdoor Movie Night. There's going to be an announcement about that. Commissioner Israel.
Thank you, Chair Bowser. And in the chat, just because I included a lot of info on the DC Water free lead program in my newsletter from yesterday, I just threw a bunch of links in there if you want to. And there's some really good maps of the project areas for FY22 and FY23. So if you want to take a look to see if your block is covered in FY22, for everyone's awareness, FY22 ends September 30th of this year. So I would presume that you would need to, apply for it, prior to that date. So you still have a few months left, but I would definitely take a look. So DPR's Roving Leader program is hosting a free outdoor movie night tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Hopefully the weather holds up through tomorrow night. And the movie will be Turning Red, which is an animated film that came out this year. Everyone's welcome. I think it's about an hour and a half long. So from 7 to 8:30, it should be a lot of fun. The only other thing I wanted to note was next Wednesday, July 27th, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., DC Health is holding a immunization mobile clinic at Truesdale Elementary School in single member district 4004 for eligible kids to get their necessary shots prior to the school year starting in late August. So if you have children or you have neighbors or family that have little kids that need to get up to speed on that, you can stop by Truesdale next Wednesday, the 27th, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's it. Oh, I think you're on mute, Chair Bowser.
Thank you. We're going to move to
Chair Bowser,
Yes.
sorry, just one thing to add to Commissioner Israel's announcement, and then a really quick announcement on my behalf. Kids ages 12 and older for the upcoming school year are going to be required to have the COVID-19 vaccination in order to go to school. So just wanted to flag that for all parents out there with kids who are 12 or older. If they do not have their vaccination, to please move forward in doing so. And then the quick announcement that I wanted to make, commissioners just found out today from the Department of Public Works, their solid waste collection division, that crews will begin trash and recycling collections 1 hour earlier, beginning July 31st, due to the very intense heat wave that we're experiencing. So trash collection and recycling collection will begin at 6 a.m. on July 31st. And this new time frame will end by Saturday, September 3rd. So just wanted to flag that folks should be taking out their trash a little earlier on their trash day or the night before.
Okay. Let's now move to community comments. Does anyone in the community have a comment or question or criticism, or an idea? Please unmute yourself and speak up now.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go
Hi,
ahead.
my name is Frank Young, and I have a concern about street sweeping. The street sweeping program has been, I think in the last 2 years or since COVID, we've seen, me and my neighbors have seen street sweeping maybe 3 or 4 times. That's in the entire two plus years. And, but yet the city is still enforcing, the street sweeping signs and people parking on the street in violation of those signs. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
What is your block? Because my block has street sweeping, and every week, except when the holiday falls on Monday, they're doing
right
the street sweeping.
I live on First Street, so I'm in between Ingraham and New Hampshire Avenue. But I guess my question to you is, are they actually sweeping?
Yes, I heard them Monday morning. Yes, and I heard them.
I did see him this past Monday, but before then, it's been months. I think it was like in December was the last time we saw them.
Well, we can put something in and put in a service request to make sure they.
Actually, I think it's totally ineffective. Street sweeping is totally ineffective. There's no evidence. I mean, you can look at the street when they go through, even after they go through, there's no evidence that they picked up anything. If anything, they're just moving it along. And so, if anything, I would request that it be terminated and that the signs be removed. I just think that it's ridiculous that all of the residents have to continue to move their vehicles, and you have more people working from home now because of COVID, and there are very few parking spots available. And the city, I guess about a couple of months ago, came in and they removed a lot of on-street parking. And I think that was related to pedestrian crossing, I'm guessing. But they removed a lot of parking, on-street parking. And so we have even less parking spots to move our cars to. And I just think it's a process. It's signs that it's unnecessary. I just think it's totally unnecessary.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to talk to my block captain on that block, and if people want it removed, that can definitely happen too. And if the issue is, because you said the First Street between Ingraham and New Hampshire Avenue, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So
and you know what
yeah, what I don't really understand either is like now New Hampshire going north from Hamilton towards Missouri Avenue has street sweeping, but not south of Hamilton. You know,
Oh,
there's no street sweeping south of on New Hampshire Avenue, south of Hamilton.
Yeah, if I could,
well, the thing is, street sweeping is not, every block doesn't have street sweeping. It's something that really people had to request. So if the people on that block,
What?
I mean, I represent the 5100 block of New Hampshire Avenue. And I I can inquire, because I actually like the street sweeping, but not to prolong this, if they're supposed to be doing it, I'm going to make sure they do it. But if the block does not want it, particularly your block, we can get it removed. So
oh, that would be nice. So what do we have to do to make that happen? Do we need to get neighborhood signatures? I mean,
yeah, I'm going to ask my block captain
what's
if
the
she would
requirement?
take a poll of I'll ask my block captain, and
Residents?
I can talk to you if you want to give me your information. I can talk to you
Sure.
offline. The block captain,
Absolutely.
that block is for Hannah Halsey.
yeah, and to the gentleman on the phone, I don't know if you could see in the chat, but the Department of Public Works actually has a petition form. I included it in the chat. If you want to remove street sweeping from 80% of the residences on the block to sign off on that. So it is possible, but it's a pretty high threshold. But there is a petition form if you want to, spearhead that.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. I would absolutely take that on.
I said it was possible, definitely. But so, and my first, like I said, my first step would be to talk to my block captain, because she talks to everybody on that block. I see a hand, Emily Coaster.
Hector, yeah, hi. I had a question not related to street sweeping. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, any question, community comment. Take your 2 minutes.
Okay, great. So I am a resident at Hampshire Gardens Cooperative. So we're a large complex, about 100 units on Emerson Street in New Hampshire. And we are interested in getting, we're a DC historic landmark. We were built in 1929, and we're interested in getting DC historic homeowner funding for some major repairs that we have coming up. I talked to the DC Preservation League though, and they said that only homes in certain historic districts are eligible. And since we are not in historic district, we are not eligible, even though we are a landmark. So what he recommended was talking to the ANC to see if we could start petitioning to expand eligibility for historic landmarks, not just historic districts. So I guess I was just wondering what you think the best process might be for that, if we should draft a resolution or if we should collect signatures, just if you had any guidance about that.
Hey, Ms. Coaster, just so you know, I'm so you're in my district, and I'd be happy to help with this. We love Hampshire Gardens, and I know that it is an historic landmark. So it's probably. It is. I'm sorry, my dog is making a lot of noise. It probably is a good idea to show that the community is supportive of that use, but it's also just helpful to, particularly, we can talk to the council member's office about applying pressure, and the MOKers, the mayor's office. They're really helpful for moving, the bar on some of those executive actions like changing rules. So why don't you and I talk about this offline, and I'll type my email into the chat, and just feel free to shoot me an email, and we can go from there if that's all right.
That would be great. Thanks so much.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes, good evening. I just have a comment to make. I would like to thank the neighbors of Lorenzo Park for keeping your dog on a leash a lot more. It's been a lot of improvement in that area, and I appreciate it. But also, we're having a little issue in getting the dog bags replaced. So there's a lot of dog poop, and our neighbors aren't picking up the poop from their dogs. So until we get the bags replaced, neighbors, if you could please pick up after your dogs, that'd be appreciated. We have so many children and families that enjoy the park, and we don't want them in poop. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Now it's been about 2 weeks. It was a kind of a runaround at DOE to get someone to get to the right person about scoop your poop signs and those other things. And so I sent a reminder beginning of this week to someone at DOE that I had emailed a couple of weeks ago. And so I hope to have a response for that. And I'll let you know, because there used to be, like for parks or for signs for streets, the more you complain, that they would note the number of complaints and put scoop the poop signs on your block, but they keep changing the policy. So I need an update on that. Anyone else have a comment?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, hearing no more community comments, I'd like to turn to the mayor's office representative, Ms. Yamila Escobar, who's hopefully here.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes, I do see you here. Welcome this evening for joining us on this very hot evening. Please go ahead with any updates from the mayor's office.
Awesome. All right. Good evening. My name is Yamilet Escobar. I am one half of the Ward 4 Community Liaisons from the mayor's office. I just wanted to start off by, just as a friendly reminder, if anyone is interested in receiving the vaccine for monkeypox, the mayor along with DC Health did announce that you can pre-register at preventmonkeypox.dc.gov. However, it's not eligible to everybody at the moment, but you can go in there and register. So once appointments become available for the public, you guys will have the access to receive those vaccines for monkeypox. Another thing is in regards to City Open, which is the yearly tournament that happens at Carter Barron. So Commissioner Israel, we were able to secure some tickets for the community. Thank you for taking the lead on requesting those. So if you guys can either, I don't want to put you extra work, Commissioner, but you can reach out to myself, or if you would like to help me, Commissioner Israel, if you're interested in receiving some tickets for the tournament, please reach out to me or Commissioner Israel. And we'll be sure to see what we can do and how many we can give you. We're not promising too many, but we do have about, a little less than a good amount, like 100 or so tickets for the community. And as well, we also have this year, we wanted to make sure that the community does get engaged more. So there's going to be some kid-friendly events. So far, I do have the dates for them. So on July 30th, for kids 10 and under, they're having a Sunday fun day for the kids, and they'll be able to have like tennis games, other fun activities, and the people who register to participate, they will also get some either free tickets or discounted tickets. And these are not included into the ones that are already assigned to the community. So again, it's gonna be July 30th and August 7th. So there'll be 2 community-friendly events for kids. We don't have the link and the information for it as of yet, but as soon as I get it, I'll make sure to share with the commissioners, and I'll drop it on the Ward 4 lister as well. And that's pretty much all I have. I do want to share my contact information with you all, just in case you don't have it. My telephone number is 202-603-7182. Again, my number is 202-603-7182. 7182. My email address is my first and last name, yamaleth.escobar@dc.gov, and I'll drop it in the chat as well, but I'm gonna spell it out for the ones who may be on the phone and need it. So it's YAMILETH.ESCOBAR@dc.gov. And I do want to say congratulations, Commissioner Lizio, on your newborn. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yamala.
Ms. Escobar, do you know whether the meeting that the mayor is holding Monday, the 25th, with respect to racial equity, is that there was a location, but is that going to be also virtual?
I'm not sure they have a virtual option, but I can look into it and then follow up offline with you directly.
I'd appreciate that because I'm not mobile these days.
Okay.
Are there any questions from commissioners for Ms. Escobar? Okay, hearing none. Are any attendees, do any attendees have any questions for the mayor's representative, Yamala Escobar? Any comments or any areas that you'd like her to put her attention to? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Escobar. I really appreciate your time.
Of course, enjoy your month break.
Okay, yes.
Bye.
We will. All right. Thank you, everybody. So far, we're going to turn to new business. And most of our new business is concerning our grant applicants and decisions on to whether to award grants to applicants. And I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Israel just to say that there's sometimes the worthiest, when I say worthy, something like training or education may be they may be worthy projects, but because of the limitations under the Advisory Neighborhood Commission statute and the interpretations by the Office of the Attorney General, many good things we cannot provide grants for because we were told in the last couple of years that grants are supposed to be used for outreach to the community by the commission and working on commission projects. The money that the commission has is not supposed to be used for grants, but mainly for buttressing the commission's activities. So unfortunately, we had a lot of grant applicants, but unfortunately, several of those, because of the restrictions under the law and the interpretation by the Office of the Attorney General, they don't meet the various criteria. From that, Commissioner Israel, you can take it away.
Thank you, Chair Bowser. So the first item that we're going to consider will be amending the fiscal year 2022 budget that ANC 4D voted to adopt at our October 2021 public meeting. And I'm going to post that document in the chat just if people want to take a look at what that looks like. It does say budget worksheet, but those numbers are what we adopted back in October. And in that adopted budget, we had set forth an allocation of $15,000 in FY22 for grants. And based on the number of grant applications that we've received thus far, hypothetically, if we were to award all of them, it would exceed $15,000. Now, there's nothing prohibiting us from amending our adopted FY22 budget. And so in light of the amount of funds being requested to us, I'm proposing an amendment to our adopted FY22 budget that would increase our grants allocation from $15,000 up to $21,000, so an increase of $6,000, and then a subsequent decrease of $6,000 for communication, which we originally allocated $21,200 for. So that would go down from $21,200 down to $15,200. And just for context, the reason we had it at that high amount was just in case we were going to send out a mailer for ANC 4D, which I know, as Chair Bowser can attest to, is quite expensive. I think it cost us about $7,000 or $8,000 last year. And it looks likely that we're probably not going to do that. So just readjust the $6,000 just to give us the authorization to award up to $21,000 in grants if that's what we decide to do. And so we just need to vote on that before we potentially vote to award grants above $15,000 later tonight. So I make a motion for us to amend our adopted FY22 budget to increase grants from $15,000 to $21,000 and to decrease communication from $21,200 to $15,200.
Yeah, and I'm just happy to jump in here as a former treasurer for 4D. You know, we have been able to run. I don't think we ever had a communication expense that was that high, at least in my experience. I think we're able to run the commission even more leanly since COVID began. So I have no concern that it's an appropriate reallocation of budget items. And I've said it before, I think one of the most useful things that we can do is to get these funds out into the community, because ultimately they are taxpayer dollars, so they should be supporting the community as a whole. So I don't think this presents any unusual financial reallocation.
Okay, we have a motion, and the next thing is, do we have a second?
And seconded as well.
Okay, and now we can discuss it. How much, if we allocate 21,000 to grants, how much would we have left in the treasury currently, if we were to allocate 21,000 tonight?
So yeah, that's a great question. And let me pull up my, which we're gonna discuss this at the very end of our meeting tonight, you know, in terms of the treasurer's report and the quarterly financial report, but it is important.
Chair Bowser, if I could just jump in and help out. Those are two different questions, because this is a reallocation of an annual budget line item. Your question is about current cash position. So I think you have to look at the overall annual allotments that we get relative to the $21,000, which off the top of my head, Zach, I think is, what's our total annual allotment number? Something like $30,000?
No, it's less than that. Actually, I have this. I think currently it's somewhere around actually like 18 or 19,000 annually that ANC 4D gets, you know, subdivided in quarterly allotments. So
that's right, because the quarterly allotments are about 4,500. Yeah,
it's about 4,500, 4,700, something like that.
Right. So it would represent a meaningful portion of our annual budget. That said, we came into this year after having built up a fair amount of surplus. So from a cash position standpoint, if you project future allotments through the end of this year, again, I'll turn over to Treasurer Israel, but my feeling is we'd still be in a very strong place from a cash standpoint if we were to assume funding all of these, that full $21,000. We'd probably still be in the mid teens of the thousands of dollars, $15,000 range.
I'd like an answer to my question though, because I think it's important, because if our budget now is, when you say we're not going to send something out to everybody, I think that's a good method to reach people who may not be online, people who may not be paying attention if they get a postcard in a timely manner, which the U.S. mail did not do last year. But because I think that's a very important part of a commission, is reaching out to people, even hard to reach people. So, and people that may not at first glance or first thought participate. So I don't think I think reaching out to because many times they use the commission as, oh, the commission is speaking for the people, and yet there are many people who still don't even know who their commissioner is. So I don't I don't believe that it's as low a priority as you put it. I think it's actually a very high priority. So I'd like an answer to how much money would we have left in our budget for other things?
Yes, so I do have an answer, and just to I have the exact amount that ANC 4D currently gets annually. We get $16,763.92. So that comes out to just under $4,200 a quarter. I will note that starting in January of 2023, that number will go up because each commission's allocations are based on total population size, and our population is increasing significantly. So that will go up by about $1,500 or $2,000 a year, or something like that, maybe even a little bit more. But to answer your question, Chair Bowser, right now, we have just under $18,000 in the bank account, literally right now today. Now, having said that, the total amount of grants that we're going to hear from today very soon, if we were to award 100% of all of them, it would come up out to $17,500. So about $500 below what we have in the bank right now. However, I did confirm with the Office of ANCs that there's $4,950 that has been owed to us for quite some time, that they withheld from us over the last 8 or 9 months. And that was regarding one of the grants we awarded last year. Because we now have all of the receipts and documentation for that, I got an assurance that we're going to get that $4,950 by the end of this month. So even though our current bank account is at just around 18,000, in about a week and a half, that's going to increase by nearly 5,000, up to about 23,000. And we've filed all of our quarterly financial reports on time. And so, hopefully by September, October, we'll get our normal quarterly allotment of 4,200 on top of that. So even if we give a full $21,000 of grants combined tonight and maybe potentially in September, depending on what we decide to do, by the time we get to end of September, October timeframe, if I have my numbers right, I mean, we should still have somewhere between $7,000 to $9,000 in the bank. And we could use that funding if we wanted to under the current budget for sending out postcards to constituents. So
Right.
See this as an either or. I think we could do the full 21,000 in grants and a full mailer to all residents if that's what we decide to do.
And Treasurer Israel, so how much would be left in the budget for communications?
There'd be, in total, what we have authorized would be $15,200. But that, that includes, what we spent on our Zoom subscription that I know you paid for, Commissioner Noble, would be deducted from that amount. I will also note, though, that starting October 1st of this year is the beginning of FY23, and we need to actually adopt a new budget very soon in October, and so we could readjust what we want to spend at our October public meeting.
Right. And,
yeah.
And so, Chair Bowser, I was not trying to trivialize the importance of communication with the community. I agree with you there. I think this does raise the larger point here is that we are potentially authorizing a larger amount of grant dollars than we probably can, than this commission can send out on an ongoing annual basis. So can't forever spend more money than the commission takes in revenue, but we have built up a bit of a surplus. And so I think part of the decision that we're making here today is it appropriate to spend a little bit of that surplus on the grants that are before us, while still reserving funds for communication purposes and other key operating, expenditures to keep the commission.
Yeah, because in November, we're going to be going either hybrid or back to in person, which means we're going to have to, and we've actually very generously, Washington Latin Public Charter School has never charged us, but I think we could give them a small token. Also, we'd have to pay the audio person. Also, we'd have to get new signs. So there, and that's just to those few things about getting back to in person. So I think that it's not as cut and dried as first said, but Commissioner Bouquet.
Yeah, I agree with Chair Bowser. I just, first, I don't think it's good practice to zero out. We should always have cash on hand. But for the communication expenses, I just want to be super clear that they cover what Chair Bowser typically spends monthly for her communication, that it covers the website, our listserv, our Zoom. So there, and as Chair Bowser noted, all future expenses for in-person meetings. I just don't feel comfortable. I guess I'd like to better understand what we would have on hand that would reasonably cover communication expenses, and where we would have a slush fund in case something comes up that we would need emergency funds for.
Yeah, and one point I suppose that I just realized is we're going to have to pay for both the Zoom and the in-person meetings, I guess, going forward.
And also, I don't think the Colony House has charged us for storage. I know I haven't gotten any email or message from them, but it was 125 6 months. And it came to my mind a couple months ago when I was, I happened to look at some old documents, like I saw something on the email from Colony House from a couple years ago. I'm not going to mention it to them because I'm not asking them to charge us. But what if they say, okay, now it's been 2 or 3 years, you owe $300? I mean, I just don't think we should. I think if we give $15,000 now in grants, and then we can change the budget, because I'm thinking there were some people who missed the deadline for this application. There was some confusion about who qualifies, and I think Ward 4 Mutual Aid may be asking for a grant in the fall, that maybe we can revisit it when maybe we have some more money, but not project. I just don't think we should cut it that close to the bone.
Yeah, I mean, I think best practice would be to take what our baseline essential expenses are, right? What's the cost of the Zoom? What's the cost of newsletters? What's the cost of audiovisual people for future in-person meetings? What are the things that we can't operate without? And then say, okay, what's the proper surplus amount that we want to have left over? I do think there's a bit of an excess there. And that's how we determine what the appropriate amount to spend at this time is.
I mean, I just want to reiterate that this vote is just to authorize to spend up to that level. It is not committing us to do so. Just to be clear, that it's not mandating that we spend that full amount. We don't have to. It's just to give us the flexibility to do that.
Okay,
But I think for sure.
Are there any comments from our attendees, our constituents? If there's anyone on the phone that wants to make a comment or ask a question about this issue, you can *6 yourself. Okay, hearing none. If there's no more discussion, do you want to, we can vote on your motion and we can repeat, you just summarize your motion. It's been seconded, and so we can vote on it.
Sure. So again, this just authorizes, this amends our FY22 adopted budget to increase the authorization for spending on grants from $15,000 to $21,000. And it subsequently reduces our proposed communications budget from $21,200 down to $15,200 for fiscal year 2022, which ends on September 30th, 2022.
Okay, all in favor of the motion as stated, and it has been seconded, please signify by saying aye.
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 That's 3 or 4. All opposed? Aye. Opposed.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, I think it would be 4. The The motion passes. 4 and 2 against. You can continue, Commissioner Israel. Go ahead.
All right, great. So now we enter the fun part of the agenda, where we get to hear from the applicants who submitted grant applications to ANC 4D. This is actually a legal requirement in the DC Code. In order for us to authorize awarding the grants, we need to first hear the presentation. So we're going to get to that right now. And I believe the first, I think if my commissioner colleagues are okay with this setup, I think we have about 45 minutes in total for this. It'll likely go a little bit beyond that, but we have 5 presenters in a row, and I think we said about 5-minute presentation tops for each of them. In fairness to each of them, I think it might make the most sense to hear one of them in a row, and then after each presenter, allow commissioners to ask any follow-up questions right after the presentation for that applicant is over, and then do the same thing for the second presenter, questions, third presenter, and so forth. I mean, the alternative is we hear the five presentations all in a row and then ask questions of all of them afterward. But that would require all of them to remain on the line until all the presentations are done. We could do that, but what are my colleagues' thoughts on the former process, where we really tackle it one by one and then we actually vote on all 5 at the very end?
I think it's good to tackle them one by one. Even though before I thought we should vote on all 5 together, I think we should vote on them individually.
Yeah, and I think we did that last year as well, and I'm completely in favor of that. So if everyone's okay with that, I think we'll just approach it that way. I think that makes the most sense. So yeah, we're gonna do it individually, and the first lined up is Petworth Peanuts, and I believe we have Megan McCune on the line. So Megan, and I know you sent your presentation to Commissioner Noble, who will be able to screen share it. So we'll let you speak up to 5 minutes, Megan, and then we'll just open up to questions from the 4D commissioners. And then we'll just sort of go down the list in our agenda for the other 4 presenters and follow suit. So
Great.
Turn it over to Megan if you want to unmute. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is the timer working? Is the timer working? We need to have our timer working because it's almost.
Yeah, I'll coordinate that.
Okay.
All right, can we get the presentation up before my timer starts? All right, hi everyone, my name is Megan McCune. I'm the president of Petworth Peanuts, and I'm here to talk to you about the 2022 Sherman Circle Spooktacular. I think Jonathan's working on the presentation. Great. All right, we can move to the second slide already. All right, so what is the Spooktacular? And you all may be familiar with this because ANC funded the original Spooktacular, but this will be the 2nd annual free family Halloween event in Sherman Circle. It's going to take place on October 30th. And we're also going to do 2 smaller events this year that will precede the larger event. We are expecting an attendance of over 1,000 members of the community in line with what happened last year, as well as several dozen entities and businesses participating. We're also planning to do a free costume exchange and an outdoor movie. We're expecting smaller attendance at those, but they'll be brand new events. We're not quite sure in general what to expect. Probably between 100 to 300 at the costume exchange and 75 to 100 at the movie. The Spooktacular itself, which is a larger main event, is going to include a lot of stuff. If you were there last year, it was a selection of kids' STEAM activities, photo booths, free candy bags, sponsored entertainment like face painters, etc. Oops, sorry, you can go ahead to the next one. There'll also be a costume contest with donated prizes from businesses. Okay, so who's Petworth Peanuts? We are a free 100% volunteer-based parents organization. We support, educate, and connect parents of the greater Petworth community. Just a sense of our growth, it's been insane. We had about 20 members in 2020, and now we have over 700 members in 2022. It's just absolutely exploded. And over the last year, we've also grown to include board members and are moving towards nonprofit status. So just to give you a sense of how the Spooktacular will change. Last year, it was planned pretty much by me, 1 to 2 people, in about 2 weeks. We had 10 days from the point where we got funding from ANC to actually do the event. So we were really limited on time and resources. But this year we have a full dedicated events committee with over 15 people, peanuts, and we expect the event to grow substantially given the amount of time we have to plan. Next slide. So just a recap of last year, again, it was organized last minute because a couple of other possible events fell through. We decided to fill the gap. You all co-sponsored. We also had over 20 businesses and entities participate or contribute or donate. We had DCFD show up as well as major news media. We really were not expecting the turnout that we got. We ended up getting over 1,000 diverse community members from all over the Petworth area, including everyone, every part of ANC 4D. We had about 500 free candy bags that were sponsored by you. They were gone within 15 minutes. And we got really good feedback from the community. The biggest challenge was that there were a lot of people. We weren't expecting so many, so the tables were a little too close together, and we were underfunded and under-resourced. We just did not expect the turnout that we had. Next slide. Here's some pictures just to kind of show you it was a huge success. Next slide. Here's just a list of the participating sponsors and participants. I mean, it just ranged from area restaurants to individuals to news media to both ANC 4C for volunteers and 4D for the funding, President Lincoln's Cottage, Makerspace, DC Fray, etc. So what's new for this year? Like I said, we're planning 2 events to proceed. One is a free costume exchange. We're actually starting to collect costumes now. We'll be open to all parents in Petworth and probably going to do it in the rec center basketball courts. We're planning to also do an outdoor movie, maybe early to mid-October, possibly at Larry Allen, most likely at Larry Allen. It will be free, family-friendly movie to be determined. The Spooktacular itself will be on October 30th. We're planning on substantially expanded business and community involvement, additional sponsors and additional entertainment, which we'll talk about in a second. And we're also working to incorporate more service elements across all 3 events. We have a new dedicated community service and relations chair. We're planning to reach out to World for Mutual Aid and other entities to really integrate community service threads throughout all 3 events. So as far as co-sponsors, we're expecting nearly all of the 20+ sponsors to return from last year. We're also hoping to approach a bunch of new entities. These are just a few. This is not comprehensive, but including Uptown Main Street, Solar Solutions, the Metropolitan Police Department, Arts Collaborative, the library, the councilwoman, and just really getting out there and approaching as many Kennedy, Upshur, 14th Street businesses, just all of the entities that we can, and additional musicians, entertainers. Just to give a little bit of a sense of the outreach that we did last year, I contacted over 100 businesses and individuals in those like 10 to 12 days for last year. And it was quite late in the game, so a lot of them couldn't participate. This year we have a lot more time, so we're planning to really expand our outreach. Next. Here's the sample budget. I won't go too far into this, but just to give you a sense, last year, you funded about $1,200, but we expect the total value of the event is actually more than $7,000 if you quantify volunteer time and all of the donations and contributions that we got from the community, including businesses. In 2022, we're really expanding. We're adding 2 additional events, although those events are very affordable, and we're expecting the value of those events to top $10,000, depending on what we get as far as donated goods, services, and entertainment. But we're asking for $3,500 for those 3 events. And we're planning to recycle as much as we can from last year to be used again this year. Next. ANC 4D will be included in all of our materials. You can see here on the right, this is the poster I designed for last year. And on the left is a poster that's circulating now for the costume exchange. Obviously, ANC 4D would be added to this one if they become a co-sponsor. These will be placed in high traffic areas. Actual physical copies will be circulated on all of the normal suspects, email, listserv, social media. We expect a promotional reach of 2,000 to 4,000 people or more. Next. All right, I think I made it through in 5 minutes, and we can move to questions. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Do any commissioners have questions for the presenter for Pet Rich Peanuts? Okay. Any residents have?
Chair Bowser, I have one quick question. Megan, thank you so much for that presentation. It looks awesome. I'm wondering, was outreach done to the Kennedy? And if not, happy to give you contact information to be able to access the families at the Kennedy.
So I was not familiar with the Kennedy last year. It's something that I didn't know about, but we do know about it now, and we're very interested in engaging with them. So I would love to work with you to get that information. Yeah, we'd be thrilled to.
I'm sorry, could I follow up on that, Megan? I think that was my question last year, and I voted for it because you said you would reach out to the Kennedy, and I don't think you did last year. So I just wanted to let you know that I was a little disappointed in that. I mean, this was great. My kid went to it. It was a wonderful event, but like, I did think the outreach in 4D, especially northern part of 4D, lacked a little bit. I tried to get in contact with you with that. I volunteered to hang posters and I didn't get any. So I just hope, since we have more time this time and not just 10 days, that we can do a better job with that. And especially reaching out to the Kennedy, like we said we would last year. But
I will emphasize again that it was just me, and I did contact as many businesses as I could on Kennedy. I don't recall ever getting a message from you, but I do assure you that we will make special note to include them this year.
And I can give you the information for the manager of the
That'd be great.
Kennedy, which is short-term family housing for Ward 4.
Great.
And his name is Brian Hamer, and I'll try to put the information in the chat.
Excellent. And we're already in contact also with Ward 4 Mutual Aid and have done additional events with them in the last year. So we're working on definitely expanding the network, and we have, like I said, more resources this year.
Any other questions for Megan? And that includes any of the community, any of the attendees. Okay, hearing none. Commissioner Israel, do you want to go to the next presenter?
Yes, now we'll turn it over to Talib, who's from United to Rise, just to hear up to 5 minutes from him and then questions after.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to present today, this evening. I would like to thank Zach again for all of your just communication and everything with me. My name is Talib Medjun. I am the Executive Director of United to Rise. United to Rise has been doing business as United to Rise for 2 years, well, since 2020. We started off the organization has been around since 1997. And we started doing business as United to Rise in 2020 during the social justice movement, as well as the fact that we went from serving just youth to serving, or from capturing data from serving just youth to serving youth and families. The organization used to be known as, and it's still with the IRS, is known as Youth Organization United to Rise. Is it all right if I share my screen, or can I do that?
I think Commissioner Noble would have to make you the host. Commissioner Noble.
Yeah, I can make you the host, but
okay. I'll be sure to give you those capabilities back as soon as I'm finished.
the key thing is just not to leave the meeting without giving back the host controls, because it will end it for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna give them
Okay,
back
great.
as soon as I finish. All right, can everybody see my screen? So, as I said, United to Rise is celebrating our 25th year anniversary. What we do is we provide services and programs to the community, not just Ward 4, but to the entire DC population. And our mission is to provide families in Washington, DC access to resources and activities that to help ensure that students have a safe learning environment where they can explore beyond the classroom. Some of our successes have been, and our accomplishments have been that 85% of our youth or our students have graduated high school, 77% or more than 77% attend college. We've won awards, accolades, and acknowledgements for outstanding programming by the past 3 mayors, including Anthony Williams, Adrian Fenty, and Mary Bowser. We've been recognized by the DC State of the Office of the State Superintendent of Education for being the top performing after-school program in the District of Columbia, ranking #1 in math grade gains and #2 in literacy grade gains for after-school programs in the city. We were founded by an educator who was also my mother. She started the program, or she started serving students, latchkey kids in 1985, 85 to 88. And she was a teacher in 1985 to 88, and then she started serving students in the after-school program in 1988 who went to West Elementary School, which is now John Lewis. In 1991, a new principal came on board and asked her to move the program over to, that's 5 minutes? Wow, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay.
No, you've got 1 minute left and we can.
Okay.
A little bit over.
All right, so in 97, she started Your Community Center, and over 20% of our alumni have come back to volunteer or work, and 30% have sent their children to the programs. We've served over 5,000 students. We have numerous amounts of partnerships in the city, and we're asking that we have several programs, but we're asking for a grant for $3,500 to run our Your Community Center Day, which is going to be our 25th year anniversary in August. We are planning to promote this to the entire city. We're planning to promote it using Instagram, Facebook. We're planning to promote it using news syndicates, and we plan on promoting it at the schools and with flyers in the Ward 4 the neighborhood, using listservs as well, and for email correspondence to our contact list. Sorry about that.
So no problem. Is that your final slide, or?
Yeah, that's my final slide.
Okay.
Sorry for going over.
Sir, can you explain to us what you're requesting the grant money for? What
I
event
apologize.
is this?
Sorry. So we're requesting the grant money to run our 25th year anniversary. It's going to be a day where we are going to be celebrating the accomplishments of the organization with our alumni, our former parents. We're calling it Your Community Center Day. The students who currently go to the center, they know about Your Community Center and the amazing things that we've been doing. We always communicate with our alumni, but we want future families to know about the amazing things that we do as well. And we want to invite them in to come out and see what they can be a part, what kind of a community they can be a part of being a part of your community center. And so we're doing a program on the 27th of August. And in that, we are planning to have game trucks, food trucks, numerous activities for youth, for students and families to come and celebrate with us. We're located right across the street from John Lewis Elementary School.
Where is that?
It's on 14th and Farragut Street. We're located right outside of the 4D. We're in 4C.
Does any other commissioner have a question for Mr. Madian, if I'm pronouncing your name right?
It's Majun, but that's fine.
Majun? Okay, sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I have a quick question. Mr. Majun, thank you for your presentation. When are you thinking of holding this event and where?
It's going to be on August 27th, and it'll be at the community center, which is it's on the corner of 14th and Farragut Street, right across the street from John Lewis Elementary School.
Okay. Thank you.
So primarily, what is this occasion for? To celebrate what you've done in 25 years?
It's to celebrate what we've done in 25 years, to also showcase, to be able to serve as an open house event for future families to come and see the amazing things that your community center has been able to do and what we plan on doing in the future. We want to bring in new families to the organization. And so it's basically, we're opening our doors to celebrate our former alumni, but also to try and invite in new families.
Okay. And when you say inviting new families, I think I missed part of your presentation. Families that would use your services.
Yes, so we have 10 different programs. We have out of school time programs. We have in school programs. We have, and so here are a list of the things that we do. We do tutoring, mentoring, leadership training, STEM, art, performing arts, photography, videography, coding, mobile application development, web design, nutrition, culture awareness, geography, social emotional development, and family workshops.
So you have all these programs going throughout the year?
Throughout the year, yes, ma'am.
And are they free to the community?
So we are in three DC public schools, and those programs that are in the DC public schools are free. We're in John Lewis, we're in Garfield, and we're in Minor. But our program at your community center, it's a more intimate program. It's more like a family. I'll say the enrollment is between 10 to 15 students. And so there is a small tuition that comes along with being a part of that program.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions for the Life Success Center? Okay, hearing none.
Someone did raise their hand.
Oh, okay, I can't, okay. Ms. Jackson, yeah, I see it now. I was looking at the.
The program takes place in 4C and not 4D.
Can you start over again? It's hard to hear you.
So is this better?
You're kind of breaking up, unfortunately.
Okay, is this okay? All right. I'll put my earphone.
Yeah, and Talib, if you could return the host back to me, that would be great.
Yes.
Okay, is this better?
A lot better. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, is this better?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, all right. My question was, I'm kind of confused about the grants. Are they for 4D or for C? And are grants for 4D or what? I was trying to get a clarification on that. So I thought I heard the speaker say that it's in 4C.
Yes, we're in 4C. The organization is located in 4C.
And do you have a lot of your clients, what percentage of your clients are in ANC 4D?
This year, our enrollment dropped. So when I went back and did the numbers, this past year, we had between 12 to 15 participants in our
From
program.
4D?
Yes.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, but I didn't know that we were taking applications at all out of 4D.
Oh, I see your question.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the organization for the grants, they have to benefit the public in 4D. They don't have to necessarily be located in ANC 4D. It's just that it has to be open to people and businesses in 4D. All right. Are any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the next presenter.
Just one quick clarifying question. Mr. Madioun, am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's fine.
No, what is it?
It's Majoon.
Majoun. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So Mr. Majoun, just to clarify, it was approximately 12, sorry, how many total students do you serve and how many do you think live in 4D?
We serve this school year, we've served 90 students. And when I went back and did the numbers, we had 12 students who were who we could identify specifically as living in 4D.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. All right.
Could I ask a quick question? Who was the host originally?
Commissioner Noble.
Noble.
Jonathan Noble.
Yep, I think. Well, no, I'm not the.
Do you have it back?
No, I'm doing it now.
Okay, and Commissioner Israel, we can move on to the next presenter.
There we go. Thank
you. Thank you, Tully. We appreciate that presentation and answering questions. So next up, we have the Life Success Center, and I believe Cherie, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Cherie, to present for up to 5 minutes, then we'll do a Q&A.
Yes, I'm here. I'm so sorry. My toilet just like literally interrupted. I'm going to try to get this done quickly.
No apologies needed. I have a 2-month-old.
I use the bathroom. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to take him to the bathroom. Can I be next?
Sure.
Yeah, we can definitely readjust. Don't worry. We'll come back to you.
Thank you.
No, you absolutely do not need to apologize. So we're gonna then turn over to Petworth Blooms, and Steve, if he is on the line, we'll go to you for up to 5 minutes and then do Q&A.
Yep, I'm here.
All right. And if John, if you want to start the timer, and Steve, do you have any presentation materials that you want to screen share or have us screen share, or just going to talk?
No, I did not make a presentation. I'll go ahead. So this is basically a follow-up grant from a grant that our Petworth Blooms was awarded last year by 4D. Last year we received a grant for planting flower bulbs in a lot of the triangle parks throughout the ANC. And so those included Lorenzo Allen Park, as well as the smaller parks like the one at 8th in Illinois and 5th in Emerson, 1st in New Hampshire, 3rd in Ingraham, well, it's a small one at Illinois and Georgia, I guess. And so the grant for this year is kind of to follow up on that, to get not just bulbs this time, but perennials as well as annual flowers and some more bulbs as well. Specifically, we want to focus about half of the effort on Lorenzo Allen Park because it is the largest park in the ANC, and has the most kind of activation already with the DPR movie events, and talking about doing a spectacular movie thing there as well. And so I had submitted to the ANC a breakdown of the budget, but it's basically half at Lorenzo Allen, and then the other spread to the smaller triangle parks. And yeah, if you noticed in the spring, in March and April, a lot more bulbs flowering in the neighborhood. That was the result of the funding from the ANC last year. So that is pretty much the gist of it.
Mr. Feingold, I sorry, I had to excuse myself to go to the restroom, but did you indicate what I know you do a lot of triangle parks. Do you do any triangle parks in the northern part of ANC 4D? There's a triangle park across from Gethsemane Baptist Church, a triangle park at New Hampshire Avenue and First and Ingraham.
Yes. So that one has a small bed right now that has been started. There were a few bulbs that I got in there last year, and then where I had planted them, a shrub was taken out by DPR, which somewhat interrupted the flowers, but they bloomed on, and some of the neighbors put out some fake flowers as well at Easter time that are still there as well. And there's been a dog waste bag added nearby as well.
Which park are you speaking of? The one on?
Sorry, that's the First New Hampshire and Ingraham Park.
Oh, okay.
And I think the only triangle park I didn't plant anything in last time was the one at Kansas and
Fourth. And
Kansas
Gallup.
and Fourth, we planted some things around the trees. Would like to expand some things a little bit more there. So I have one at Fifth and Emerson, but the one just north of there, which is Fifth and Farragut, I guess, that has just several large trees and didn't have a good spot for planting anything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from commissioners, and then we'll move quickly to our attendees.
Yeah, Chair Bowser, this isn't a question, it's more of just a comment. Oh, okay, looks like if we turn the timer off, Commissioner Noble. Yes, just a comment that, for everyone's awareness, the Department of Parks and Recreation, so all the little triangle parks throughout ANC 4D are either owned by the Department of Parks and Recreation or actually DDOT. As some of you may or may not know, it's the Department of General Services that actually is responsible for the upkeep of Larry Allen Park. I'm not sure, and maybe some of the lawn maintenance for some of the other smaller parks. So there's these various agencies involved, but none of them have any part of their portfolio that involves planting flowers, which is what Park Things does. So just for everyone's awareness, this is not duplicative of anything the DC government does already, because they just don't really do it. But I also wanted to note the outreach efforts that Stephen does throughout the year for all of these plantings. He really does make the effort to invite the community to join him in planting the flowers throughout these parks, including Larry Allen Park. And it's a great way for the community to come together. And so I just wanted to note that as well for my commissioner colleagues, that I personally really appreciate that. And I think our community does as well. So thank you.
I think I asked, but does any attendee have a question with regard to this grant?
Yes, I have a comment. I like to piggyback on what Zach just said. The community, I know that we've mobilized in this community because of Steve and what he does with the planting. And it makes such a difference. It just makes our community look so beautiful. So thank you.
And Mr. Feingold, can you remind us how much you're applying for?
I applied for $3,500.
Thank you.
All right. That's the end of Mr. Feingold's presentation. Commissioner Israel, who else do we have? Are we going back to the previous grant applicant? Ms.
Yeah, if Cherie is available now from Life Success Center, we could go with her. And if she's not available, we will turn to Truesdale Family Teacher Organization. But let's just see if Cherie is available right now and go from there.
I am. I'm available. I'm sorry, guys. I have some competition. Okay. I have plenty of competition now. But hi, everyone. My name is Cherie Battle. I'm the Executive Director of Life Success Center for Children, Youth, and Families. We're a local nonprofit organization that has been around since 2013. We were incorporated in 2013. Our mission is to enhance the life success of low-income families and their children, of low-income children, youth, and their families. Our new mission would be to redact the word low income as financial situations change and children still suffer. So the basis of our programs are performing arts and STEM programs. We do STEM robotics in DC public schools, DC charter schools, and here at Emory Recreation Center, whenever we have the extra funds to allow those events to happen. We also do performing arts with older youth from 14 to the ages of like 21, 24. We've staged plays, anything from plays to film festivals and things of that sort. I try to run, I applied for an event, I applied for the full $3,500 to make this event possible. I like to run my events in the same way that I run my program. So I try to have several different entities and several different partnerships so that I can make the resources plentiful for the community in all ages. At this event, I plan to engage the whole community, partner with people like Washington D.C. for financial literacy, Department of Health for drug abuse and mental health awareness and health awareness. In a whole nutshell, this event will have free haircuts, free food, of course, free photos, a photo booth. Last year, we did an event to this caliber as well on Juneteenth. We had the dump tank, which is one of the things that we're applying for from the ANC. The dunk tank, the idea of the dunk tank is to include the police department and the community outreach services of the police department to engage conversation with the community among the whole for ANC 4D area, but specifically among the Kennedy Street corridor. We've spoke of in the past a basketball tournament, which also included the same offices. This event proposes as well a family style kickball game. This is a family style event as a whole. There will be a cookout, of course, with the free food. And then we'll be doing all hands-on activities, including showcasing some of the works of the STEM robotics programs that Life Success Center does implement. So we'll have many workshops where Life Success Center trained and cleared staff will give many robotic segments to any that's more suitable for between 1st and 6th grade students, but it's something fun for the whole community to see as well. We plan to have a DJ. Last year we had a live band. That is tentative this year, but that's the plan. Arts projects. We plan to include, like we say, we do STEM. So we'll include, it'll be a STEAM event as we include the arts as well. So basically, Life Success will showcase some of the offerings that they already have within their programs when they are funded, but they'll use some of this ANC money to assist in that funding to make this event happen. I think I pretty much touched on everything. Oh, other than the fact that Life Success Center also celebrates this year its 10th program. It won't be our 10th year incorporated until next year, May 2023. However, the programs that the SYP program that we are running this year, which I hope to invite all of you guys to our capstone event, so will be this year. So that's our 10th program. And other than that, we'll be also doing back to school giveaways at this event. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cherie.
You're welcome.
if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So
Yes, Cherie.
okay. Where will the event take place?
Oh, I'm sorry, Emory Recreation Center, and the proposed date, the whole center, including the field and the parking lot, and the proposed date is the 27th of August.
Oh, okay. And how many people impact? How many ANC 4D people will be impacted? I mean, how will you advertise the event?
Like
And can anyone come? Can anybody come to this event?
Yes, and I would like to believe that anyone that engages in this event will be impacted by the event.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying, how are you going to reach
There's
out?
there's no limit on the event, if that's what you're asking. And I plan to advertise this to the entire 4D and use the ANC commissioners to help me do so.
Okay. Any commissioners, any other questions for Ms. Cherie?
Just one clarifying question, Ms. Cherie, thank you so much for your presentation. I just want to make sure I got the date right. You said August 27th?
I did, the last weekend before school starts.
Got it. That is a popular date.
And I've actually thought of making it tentative, but that's another conversation.
Okay. And are you applying for the full amount?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions for Ms. Cherie? Okay. If not, I'll turn to, I see a hand, Jessica Lawrence.
Hi, Ms. Cherie. Hello, and thank you, Commissioner Bowser. I just wanted to ask for your contact information. I am the Truesdale Elementary Community School Coordinator, and I'd like to partner with you in the future, even if the funds don't become available to you. And I'd love to get in contact with you. So if you could just put your information in the chat box, that would be great. Thank you.
Will do. I've actually been trying to get in contact with some people at Truesdale myself. So sure, I look forward to communicating with you, and I'll put my information in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Ms. Cherie from our community, from our attendees?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, and maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it. How many people can be served? It's going to be held at Emory, inside and outside. And what's the total amount that she's talking about, Ms. Cherie?
It's actually going to be a full outdoor event.
Outdoor.
The recreation center start closing early on Saturdays, but this will be a full outdoor event, and I'm not putting a number cap on how many people we can serve, I guess, until the food runs out. And I hope I don't run out of that either, because like I said, I hope for a lot of partnerships. So just the 3,500 should be support for this event. If that answers your question. Did I answer your question?
Oh, yeah. I was just wondering. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Cherie with respect to the STEAM and Fun event? All right, hearing none, Commissioner Israel. Commissioner Bouquet, did you have something? Oh, okay. Commissioner Israel, take it away for our next presenter.
Okay, so this is our very last one. This is the Truesdale Family Teacher Organization. I believe Chris Taylor will be making his presentation on behalf of the FTO. So if Chris is available, we'll start the 5-minute timer and go from there.
Sure. Commissioner Noville, do you mind activating my camera? I think I got it disabled earlier when I was considering coming in. Wonderful. I'll get a message. Oh, perfect. Hi, everyone, and thanks, Commissioner Bowser, Commissioner Noble, and everyone for hearing our presentation and accepting our grant application. I'm Chris Taylor, the treasurer for the Truesdale Family Teacher Organization here at Truesdale Elementary School in the ANC 4D. We've proposed a program called which builds on a valued partnership we had with the ANC last year to build the community school partnership. This project's called The Whole Student, expanding the Truesdale Elementary Schools enrichment opportunities and building community through a community gardening program. The Truesdale Family Teacher Organization has begun relatively recently for a family teacher organization. It's May 2019 we established as a 501c3 specifically to increase the families' engagement with the school and improve the school's offerings as well as outreach to the community and all the families they serve. This funding is being requested to enrich and expand specifically the extracurricular offerings, building on the successful ANC funded Sustainability Club, which was after school club last year that installed a community garden with some other funding we had in kind behind the Truesdale School, right there visible on the corner of Ingraham and 8th. And that community garden was used for outreach. Excuse me for a second, my video just turned sideways. For me, it might have for you. I hope it's back again. It served as the community garden served as a engagement for community members, specifically through an idea that the Truesdale School came up with to do pop-up farmers markets with fresh produce offered by Fresh Farm that were free vegetable distribution for community members, Truesdale families after school. So we're building on that activity to also increase with other enrichment activities for student demands, especially for physical education activities and sports such as flag football, but also as well for additional supplies for art and STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math types of clubs, such as Lego robotics. Some of those details will be worked out later, but I'll focus here on two activities of the Sustainability Club's community garden, the gardening and nutrition education sessions. We're looking to offer an additional 1 to 2 sessions through Fresh Farm food prints on either a Wednesday or Friday afternoon that are open to the community and advertised on the Family Teacher Organization and ANC social media. They bring a high quality curriculum that teaches students and their family members and others working in the community garden about things like native plants, composting, germinating seedlings, and preparing nutritious meals with fresh vegetables. And when people are there for the education session or for the garden, they will also have access to what we call pop-up farmers markets, the free of cost fresh vegetable distribution I mentioned. The average event that we had of this type last year distributed 65 family-sized bags for an estimated 240 people of produce. And we're looking forward to 1 to 2 more sessions with that type of distribution. Again, if we choose Wednesdays, we'll be partnering with Ward 4 Mutual Aid, both to do joint community outreach and advertising these pop-up farmers markets and referring families back and forth between the Ward 4 Mutual Aid distribution, which is 2 blocks away. We had previously thought that we were funding this on expansion of the gardening program under other funding, but unfortunately that didn't come through. So we updated the grant application a bit to reflect these community garden activities. And then Flagstar Football of DC has offered to come in and they run a football league with a number of other community teams in DC and are considering the Truesdale Field as one of the sites where they have their games, which could be attended by the community and also look to benefit students. This was a key demand we had from students looking for more physical activity and educating the whole child. So the objective of this grant picks up on the benefits of high quality after school programming, which are many. You can see on like the US government's youth.gov website, including social emotional learning, supporting working families, academic nutrition and physical health for our youth. And these ANC funds, we believe, would help equalize the opportunities for our Ward 4 families who really otherwise don't have the family resources to privately fund their pursuit of interests in enriching the whole student. Of course, the majority of Truesdale students reside in the neighborhood, and really beyond contributing to, of course, the students and their families' health, a community benefit to this type of supplementary program is ensuring that our students and youth in the ANC are in a safe, nurturing, and supervised environment after school hours, and are able to.
That was 5 minutes. That was 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I was actually drawing to a close, so our budget details are there, but please let us know if you have any questions.
Okay, any questions from commissioners?
Hi, Chris, just quickly, can you remind us of the total amount that you requested?
Yes, this is the 3,500 divided among 3 activities.
Thank you.
And are your 3 activities open to non-students?
We're looking to have, so the first activity is the community garden run by the Sustainability Club, which would be distributing the free of cost fresh vegetables to the family through pop-up farmers markets. We're looking at 1 to 2 distributions that would each benefit about 240 people. The flag football activity would make the Truesdale Field one of the sites of the Flag Star League, where different teams participate and interact with the community in that way. And then if we have a little left over, we will look to benefit some of the other after-school activities I mentioned.
So with the community garden and the free vegetable distribution, is that open to anyone that walks up and needs vegetables?
Yes, it certainly is. We'll put flyers outside the school to advertise it. We'll partner with the Ward for Mutual Aid so that their communities and families are aware of it there, especially if it's on Wednesdays on the same day. We'll have it in the ANC 4D email newsletter that goes around, as well as ANC social media and the Family Teacher Organization social media. And last year, one of our nutrition education events that we put on ANC also got amplified by Councilwoman Janice Lewis George and brought in additional visibility that way. And we'll look to do that again.
And is the flag football team open to all children?
We're still exploring that. Certainly the games and the types of events would be, and our Truesdale based team would be interacting with the other parts of the community through the flag football games and competing with others around the city.
And how many people total do you envision being served by the grant money that ANC 4D is contributing, might vote to contribute?
Yeah, certainly the direct beneficiaries are the 450 students and families of Truesdale. In addition to that, there are estimated 240 direct beneficiaries, some of which are Truesdale families, but also some of which are community members that would be benefiting from the food distribution and the community garden education.
Any other commissioners have questions? If not, I'll turn it over to the public. Okay, does anyone of our attendees have any question for the presenter, Mr. Chris Taylor? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to turn it back to you, Commissioner Israel.
All right, thank you, Chair Bowser. And thank you, Chris, for presenting, and everyone else for presenting tonight. And for all of the applicants, for your awareness, I mean, at this point of the agenda, it's basically going to be the 6 commissioners discussing whether to approve each of the grants, things like that. So if you want to stay on, you're more than welcome to. But by no means are you obligated to stay on, because we've asked all the questions that we wanted to. So appreciate that. So at this point, I would just go back in the order that we heard from and vote accordingly. And as a reminder, we don't necessarily have to approve the fully requested amount, which I believe is the full $3,500 for each of the 5 applicants, which would be a total of $17,500, which we're now authorized to go above $15,000 if that's what we wanted to do. And we do have enough money in the bank as of today to do that. But we could approve of a grant just at a lesser amount. But that's something, that's a conversation, a debate that we'd have tonight, and then we vote accordingly. So I guess having said that, I would move to consider the grant application submitted by Petworth Peanuts in the amount of $3,500.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Do we have any additional discussion? We want to try to keep this short because we've already had some questions. Commissioner Lenjo, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, Commissioner Israel, could you just remind the commissioners and the public of, you've had some conversations with OEG and ANC about which grants are permissible and what happens if we award the money to someone who's not permissible?
Yes. So, in the event that the Office of ANCs determines that we weren't supposed to have spent or allocated grant funding because it's not eligible under DC law, what would wind up happening is that money would not be clawed back from the grantee that we have already cut the check for. They would keep the money. Honestly, by that point, they will have spent it already, so it would probably be impossible to get it back anyway. What would wind up happening is that the Office of ANCs would deduct the ineligible costs of the grant from a future allotment to ANC 4D. So as an example, if we award a $3,500 grant tonight and OANC comes back to us and says the entirety of that was not allowable, that amount would be deducted from a future quarterly allotment of $4,200. So instead of getting $4,200 for the allotment in the future, we'd get $700 as an example. And, that would be for a full amount. It's possible, OANC could say, one line item in what you awarded was ineligible, but 95% of everything else is A-okay. Then they would do the similar type thing, but just for that one item. So to answer your question, that's what would happen.
Right, and it's essentially a reduction in revenue. So it does affect the entire budget and cash projection process. Commissioner Israel, if you don't mind, I think it would be helpful for a quick, seeing as how you're the most familiar with this issue, it'd be helpful for maybe a quick summary before we vote on each particular grant, as far as what the opinion of, since you've done the hard work of going to the OAG and the OANC to get their take on things, I think that would just be helpful for us and for the group as a whole.
Sure. So yeah, for everyone's awareness, we received a total of 7 applications originally. And 4 of them, I forwarded the entire application to both the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions, as well as the Office of the Attorney General, which provides ANC's legal advice on these types of issues, just to get their opinion if those 4 were eligible. The 3 that I did not forward along to them were the applications from Truesdale FTO, Petworth Peanuts, and Petworth Blooms. And the reason I didn't submit those is because I didn't want to overwhelm them with all 7. But more importantly, we had previously awarded grants to those 3 organizations last year for very similar, if not identical, purposes. And all 3 were fully accepted by the Office of ANCs without any issue, with the one exception of a couple $100, like $200 for food for Petworth Peanuts. And I'll get to that point again because we have an update on food/entertainment expenses. But when I reached out to the OANC and OAG on those 4 others, they essentially said that 3 of them, when they were originally submitted to us, were not eligible based on various factors in the DC code, which include the fact that the grants have to serve a public purpose, has to serve the residents of the actual commission area. 4D, we're not a gigantic commission, we're the smallest one within Ward 4, so that can be tricky. That's not duplicative of other government services offered by the district government, things like that. And when we heard back from OANC, I reached back out to the 4 applicants, letting them know what the opinion was and offering them an opportunity to resubmit an updated grant that would hopefully meet all the criteria. And we're going to work as a commission to make sure that we're as clear as possible for future grant applications, because we don't want folks to spend a lot of time submitting the application only for it to be rejected on some technicality in the DC code that we didn't say upright. So our apologies for that. We're doing the best we can, but I just wanted to make sure that we didn't, as a commission, authorize like $14,000 of grants, none of which were acceptable, because then it would be pretty harmful to our budget in the future, and I didn't want that to happen. So I'm glad I did it. So that's a bit of context there. Regarding Petworth Peanuts, going back to that discussion specifically, in their budget, two things I know that various commissioners have raised, I just want to mention real quick. They're asking for $550 for individually wrapped candy. I mean, it is a Halloween event. As we've since discovered and confirmed with both OANC and OAG, OAG issued a 2017 opinion letter saying that grantees are allowed to spend their grant funds on food point blank. And I confirmed that with both of them. So I don't see that being a problem this go around for that $550. And then I know Commissioner Bouquet, you had mentioned at some point in the past about, whether insurance would be admissible or not. I went back and took a look, and in the application we approved last year for Petworth Peanuts, we did fund some of the insurance, and OANC had no issue with that. So I think it's safe for us to, and they're asking for $550 of the $3,500 for insurance. So I don't see that being problematic either, based on last year's experience with the Office of ANCs.
But
I don't know if I completely agree with that, given that they considered insurance coverage requests this go around for another applicant as impermissible.
So I think we should remove it. I was going to say thank you for that. I was going to say the same thing.
So to be clear though, so you're referring to the United to Rise, I believe?
Was one of the, but I don't know.
I don't know if we necessarily need to name the applicant, but yes, it was one of the recent applicants in this year's pool.
If payment for insurance is impermissible for one applicant, it wouldn't be permissible for another applicant.
No, I don't disagree with that. I just want to verify that though, because I think that may not have been the actual reason why they didn't agree that it was admissible. So I just want to verify that really quickly before we definitively say that. Sorry, I sent about several dozen emails back and forth with both the Office of ANCs and OAG over the past 2 weeks. So just bear with me for one moment. Let me see here.
I'm not going to find out where I read it.
Let's see. I think I found the chain here. Okay. So the rationale was that particular grant was impermissible because it's not for a proposed project. It was reimbursing something that had already begun and was nearing its end. And that the project did not establish community benefit to the camp's limited number of participants. It would be primarily for the benefit of the organization rather than for the benefit of the public. So just to be clear, yes, they asked for part of their grant to cover insurance, but that was not the reason why the Office of the Attorney General determined that they were ineligible. So I actually have to disagree that would not be a permitted use from Petworth Peanuts perspective, because OAG never said that wasn't allowed. And secondly, the Office of ANCs did not bring up any issue with that when I interfaced with them last year, back and forth, submitting all the paperwork to them for their grant last year. It was never an issue at all. So I just have to disagree on that point. And I think it is a permitted use of grant funds. That's just the history on that.
Wow.
So I'm glad I looked back at that. So those were the only two things that I, would be mildly controversial. I mean, I'm supportive personally of supplying, providing the full $3,500. I was in attendance at the event last year. I mean, it was extremely well attended. There were dozens and dozens of families from ANC 4D. It took place within ANC 4D in Commissioner Noble's S&D in Sherman Circle Park. And they had a lot of great activities that were, family friendly, and a lot of members of the community who don't have children were also there participating, volunteering. It was a very good, well-run event. And I think it's worthy of funding it again. So that's my personal opinion, but I'll stop talking. If anyone else has anything else to say, I'll pass it on.
Yeah, I'll just say it. I was there and it was a fantastic event. I agree. It was extremely well attended. I don't recall another event in Sherman Circle Park that was, so well attended. And as we saw from the presentation, this organization has clearly grown by leaps and bounds and has worked on a lot of other partnership and potentially sponsorship opportunities. I do have somewhat of a concern that, we're spending a significant amount of our budget from a proportional standpoint on, a single event that is more of an entertainment, albeit community-wide event that maybe we could spend those funds in a way that's more useful to some of the, more marginalized members of our community. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not necessarily unsupportive, but I think it's worth just sort of mentioning that.
And let me say, with respect to this one applicant, the OAG says, even if the summer camp itself served a public purpose, and the grant application does not establish that, the expenditure would be principally for the benefit of that organization rather than for the benefit of the public. And they're referring back to the insurance, the commercial liability insurance and workers' compensation. So I think there is a real question, because just because the ANC didn't raise it last year doesn't mean that would not be a reason to say, well, you can't deduct it because you didn't raise it last year. They may say, well, you see it in here this year. So I think that basically they're saying, you could say that in this other applicant, the whole camp was not for a public purpose, but it's not clear that they were talking about the whole camp or their request for commercial liability payment or sexual molestation insurance and workers' compensation insurance for the program. I don't think it's the way they have it phrased. It could be either or. Your interpretation could be correct, but it could be reasonably interpreted another way.
Yeah, and on that point, Chair Bowser, what I would say is, from my observation with the back and forth between OAG and OANC, is that it appears the OAG is a bit more conservative in their approach to these matters versus the OANC. So yes, that's true that the OANC could say that was not a permissible expense and then deducts, $550 from a future quarterly allotment. Again, just to reiterate, they did not do that last year. So it would be a risk to approve it with that potential. But if we want to, we can just deduct that amount from what they requested. So rather than give $3,500, we'd award $2,950 and not fund that line item, if that makes folks feel better.
Can I just raise one question that I think hasn't been addressed here? So when did the emergency authorization to expend grant funds expire?
To my knowledge, sometime in the month of February 2022. That was the last time Mayor Bowser extended the public health emergency declaration. So sometime in February.
But it was extended because we were able to give a grant last year to Ward 4 Mutual Aid. We got them under the wire, and that was like June or July.
Yes, and there may have either been a lapse after June or July, and then she brought it back. And so that sort of kickstarted the authorization for that again, like after that one had lapsed. It's a bit in the weeds, but I think that's what had happened.
So I thought the point was it's not clear whether things were looser than the standards were more relaxed than because of the pandemic.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, no, I think the answer is yes. I mean, they were.
They definitely were, because it didn't even have to an organization asking for money for food like Ward 4 Mutual Aid it didn't have to be include. It could have been Ward 6 Mutual Aid. It could have been the whole city that we were able to give money to during the pandemic. So it was much more relaxed. I would ask you to modify your motion to exclude the insurance and to support everything else.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. So I will move to approve Petworth Peanuts grant application for a total of $2,950. And that would not include the $550 originally requested for insurance.
Second. Okay, do we want to, any comment? We've commented, well, it's going to be our comments, so I'm not going to open it up to our attendees. So unless we have more questions on Petworth Peanuts, can we vote on that? It's been moved and seconded.
I just want to clarify, and I agree with your amendment, Chair Bowser, and this is not trying to be combative with anything, but the insurance, I just want to go back to the insurance piece, because OAG, while they did not say insurance is impermissible, literally, they said that it was more so for the benefit of the applicant that was applying. And so I think that's probably the point, or partially the point, that Chair Bowser is trying to make, and I am making that as well, that we shouldn't fund things that are for the benefit of the applicant, if that makes sense.
I mean, they help hold the applicant harmless. They're not helping the public.
Right, but if I could just respond to that, really quickly. I mean, in my judgment, in order for them to hold this event that benefits the public, it necessitates them to have the insurance.
Yes, so, but that's with everything.
That's true, but that's not an expense we need to cover.
And that's fair, and that's why we're modifying the grant and we're moving accordingly. So we're not in disagreement with that at this point.
I work in the insurance industry, and I'm intentionally keeping my mouth shut.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Commissioners, all in favor of awarding a grant of $2,950?
$2,950.
$2,950 to Petworth Peanuts, all signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Let's move on to the second grantee. Just remind us very quickly, United to Rise, what they want.
Yes, so United to Rise, and Talib was the speaker earlier tonight. He, in his revised application, he's requesting a total of $3,500. Let me just pull up his application. Okay, so yes, the total cost of the project is $7,500. They want the full $3,500. It's for this event on August 27th. Looking at the actual budget, let's see here.
It's on me, I can find it.
So it looks like actually the only line item budget that he sent over to us is for the larger amount. To be clear, the total cost of the project, not a line item for the $3,500 that he wants specifically from us. But having said that, it looks like for this event on August 27th, the two greatest expenses in total: $2,000 for entertainment, $2,000 for food, then $1,000 for advertising and marketing, $1,000 for facilities use agreement, $500 for staffing, setup and cleanup, $500 for decorations, $500 for materials. So that would be like the proportions within the $3,500 that we would give. So if I could just start, I mean, you know, I think it's a worthy organization. I do have a little bit of concern of the fact that it's actually literally located outside the boundaries of ANC 4D over in ANC 4C. It is quite close, but it's just not right there. And I did the math based on the numbers that Talib mentioned of like kids that live in 4D as a percent of the total population, and it came out to like 13 or 14% of their students that participate in this organization or the program actually live in 4D. So that's kind of on the low end, which kind of gives me pause as well. But on the other side, this is open to the public. We've confirmed that, you know, food and entertainment are allowable expenses by grantees, so I'm not concerned about that issue. They're not asking for anything for insurance, so we don't have to worry about that. It's just, you know, to Commissioner Noble's point before, and to your point, Chair Bowser, we want to make sure we don't get down to zero and not have enough funds for communications and other things. So for this one, I'm not necessarily in favor of the full 3,500 request. I don't know what the right number would be for this, but maybe $1,000. I mean, I think it's a worthy cause and it's open to the public, but I don't necessarily agree to give them the entire amount they're asking for. So I'll just leave it at that.
Any other comments from commissioners? Did you make the motion? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry to go back. Did you make the motion? We need a motion and second before we discuss it.
Yeah, I guess for now, I'll just make the motion to approve of the $3,500 grant request from United to Rise.
Okay, do we have a second from commissioners?
Second.
Okay, and Commissioner Bouquet, you started to say something. Sorry about that.
I agree that it's the revised application request is a little bit ambiguous. And so I'm not certain, I'm still not certain of what the event entails and how it's going to move forward exactly. I understand that it's an event in the works. So I'm also in favor of offering some, but not the full amount.
Any other commissioner have a comment? I wanted to say, even though it seems like the organization is a good organization, it's basically, they're asking us to pay for give partial payment or funding of their organization's 25-year anniversary. I mean, it's really kind of an open house to advertise the organization. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that, but it's not really, I don't know, it doesn't seem, and particularly if there are only 12 students that are part of the program, because it says the goals for the grant project, the goal of the event is to showcase the major and minor accomplishments that have been made by past and present members of the community center, as well as to market the organization to promote the programs and services to future youth and families. That and maybe it's in part, but it's in part celebrating what they have done and in part advertising for new people, new families. I kind of lean against a little bit, but even though it's a worthwhile organization.
You know, Renee, can I just add, I think that's a completely legitimate purpose, in as much as one, it benefits the students who are already engaged in the organization, but two, as a nonprofit, it's really essential that they market their services. So it doesn't seem controversial to me to support that goal by hosting a given event. You know, if it were a 25-year anniversary that was focused on just like the staff members or something like that, if it was a private event, that'd be entirely different, of course, and I don't think we could legally support it. But I think in a situation like this, doing community outreach by hosting an event that's a 25-year anniversary would be both permissible and useful. So for a nonprofit to advertise itself. So that's my perspective.
Any other comments from commissioners? We have a motion and second. If there are no other comments, we can vote.
Are we able to ask clarifying questions of the applicant at this point?
Oh, yes, go ahead if their applicant is still here.
Okay.
It looks like it's still here.
Yeah. Mr. Majun, if you're still in listening radius. May not, oh. I don't know if he just unmuted himself.
I can hear you.
Great, wonderful. So just a few clarifying questions. Is this event set? Are you for sure moving forward with the August 27th celebration? Has this been an event in the works?
Yes, it is set. The board our board of directors has set that date as the go-ahead date for us to, we've put it in our newsletter and everything.
And as part of the celebration, are you going to be offering resources to the community, or is this literally a celebratory event?
No, we will be showcasing things to try to advertise and promote our program for next year with new families.
Can I ask you what your planned method is to get folks to attend the event so that you can give them more information about your program?
Certainly. So we plan to advertise and market this event on Facebook. We plan to market it on Instagram. We plan to market it using, one of my board members has specified that they do know that there are certain radio stations that give free events, free advertising slots. And we do have a PR person who has a relationship with one of the top 4 news teams. And so I'm not sure which one it is, if it's WUSA or if it's ABC 7 or what, but they have a relationship with someone, a producer from there, and we're gonna try our best to advertise on either one or all of those stations. We also plan on sending out information. We plan on asking the schools that are in the 4D community area if we can advertise it on their listserv. We're gonna advertise it through our emailing contact list, and we're going to, when we did have a potential mailing list that I was considering, but when I heard you all's, I guess I'll say your concerns about that, I probably won't try and do that because that's too expensive.
Well, let me just ask this then. Do you have a anticipated or a goal amount of attendees for your event?
Yeah, we're looking to hopefully have around 200 to 250 people in attendance.
Okay, and what was the dollar amount you're asking for again?
We were asking for $3,500.
Okay, so so you're asking for about, what is that, $15 an attendee or something along those lines?
Yeah, well, our full budget is $7,500 for us to be able to accomplish the entire event. We're asking for $3,500 from the 40
Okay, great, thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
And just to clarify, as a community member, if I attended this event, can you just walk me through what I would experience from start to finish?
Sure. So if you attended and you have kids, it's really catered to the kids having fun. So we're planning on having game trucks, 2 to 3 game trucks out there. We want to have someone there doing face painting. We're going to have a few different centers, like a game board center where the kids can come and play different game boards or card games. We're going to have a certain section of the day where we are going to talk about the different programs that we provide for the community, and we will have food trucks there so that the families can, of course, have their children get an opportunity to eat while they're there. We plan on asking John Lewis to utilize some of the space on their playground to utilize their space so that everybody's not cluttered right there at the community center. We want to be able to give some shout outs to some of our former alumni. We want to give we have Councilwoman Janice Lewis Edwards has said she would be in attendance. And then we want to basically get people's feedback on how they felt about the day through testimonials, so we'll do video testimonials from future parents, for people who attended the event, how they felt about the event. We want to find out how the families who have attended our programs feel about our programs. And we want to just find out what we could do better if we decide to have another open house later on in the school year, or if we decide to have another open house the next school year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are we ready to, unless any other commissioner has a comment, I think we need to vote on this. It's been moved and seconded. The grant applicant is asking for $3,500 for an event that the total budget is $8,500. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Chair Bowser, are we at all voting to modify the grant at all? I'm not going to vote for the full amount, but I do think that we should entertain modifying the amount.
Oh, okay, no one, I asked if there were any other questions or whatever on this. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to that, yeah. I mean, I just didn't hear anyone speak up on that issue.
Yeah, I think you just need to make a motion to modify the amount. Commissioner, okay.
Sure.
Well, let's first ask, let's ask, let me ask you, what would you like to modify? What would you like to change?
I without seeing the financials in front of me, and it sounds like this is not necessarily, it sounds like this is more of an event to try to draw folks in to better understand the programming that the organization offers. And whereas there will be some fun activities for kids, it's not necessarily sort of a resource event. I guess maybe a third of the amount requested.
May I ask, are the food, it says food here, and you mentioned food trucks, so is the food free to the attendees?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Great, so this event, just to clarify, is free of cost to anyone that comes?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, and what was your proposed modification, Commissioner?
I can, sorry. I am making the calculation now. Anyone else can jump in with another proposed amount. I'm looking at around $1,500.
I think personally that I would be like understanding the scope of what they're trying to do, and certainly if you're trying to feed people in the range of 200 people, I do understand the need for some more funds. I also understand that, you get the money that we approve, and so there might be modifications you have to do to what you want to offer. But I think I would be more comfortable with a slightly higher amount than that. If they're requesting 3,500, I think we could do half at 1,750 if that was something that, or 2,000 if that was something that you would be comfortable with.
Commissioner Bouquet, would you be comfortable with 2,000?
You're on mute.
Sure. I don't know if other commissioners have thoughts.
I'm leaning more towards the 1,500. I mean, not to split hairs here. I just think the fact that it's not in ANC 4D itself and the number of ANC 4D residents that are directly served, I just I'm leaning more towards the smaller amount. And also having said that, I mean, we can, again, with the expense line items I mentioned earlier, I mean, we could say specifically we want the 1,500 to be spent for X, Y, Z among what they're asking for if we want to. You know, I mean, I'd be like, we could fund they need $1,000 for advertising and marketing, so we supply $1,000 for that. And then, you know, $500 for materials or $500 for decorations, and that would get us to 1,500 pretty cleanly.
Okay, so are we making a motion if we need to put a statement in the form of a motion and get a second?
I just want to make sure that Commissioner Smith is comfortable with that too, because if we are, I mean, the splitting here is 1,750 is not that much more, to be honest. So I would be comfortable with that amount as well. And I also want to offer to Mr. Majoon that when you are ready to offer your camp services again, to always look at ANC as a resource for us to be able to spread that information through our network. We're happy to do that so that you can potentially get new families from this area to be enrolled in your camps.
Okay.
So I make a motion to modify to 1,750 unless we feel strongly that 1,500 is the way to go.
Okay, do we have a second for 1,750?
Seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to grant $1,750 in grant money to Your Community Center, 25th anniversary Your Community Center Day. Commissioners, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Let's move on quickly to the next one.
Okay, so the next one is Petworth Blooms. They've requested the full $3,500. As Stephen mentioned earlier, about half of that, or maybe exactly half of it, would go towards Lorenzo Allen Memorial Park, because that is the biggest park within ANC 4D, and the rest would be among the other triangle parks that he mentioned. This one, I mean, I don't think there's any. There's probably a 0% chance, in my opinion, that there would be anything ineligible about what they're doing. I think it meets all of the legal hurdles raised in the DC code, so I don't think that's a problem at all. And I'm personally supportive of the full $3,500.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any insurance or any other issues like that. It's all for the bulbs, the perennials, the annuals, for the mulch. Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve of the full $3,500 grant for Petworth Blooms.
Do we have a second for that?
Seconded.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion now that it's been seconded? Any discussion quickly on the Petworth Bloom? Okay, hearing none.
No, I would just say that I respect what they're doing. I think it's a good program. I don't know that these sorts of things, support the most marginalized and neediest members of our community. And I think that's something to consider as we think into forward years as far as budgeting and use of dollars. But is it a public good? Sure. And Stephen Feingold is a nice person. Nothing against him. I just want to make that comment that I think as I've said before, to the extent that we can allocate these funds to help the neediest in our communities, that's one of the best things that we can be doing. Yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner Noble. The point is well taken, because
if someone had we gave a grant several years back to a chess club, girls learning chess, and that grant would be denied today, not because it's not educational, but because it's focused on maybe 25 students, and
Yes, yeah.
it's educational, or the grant that was going to do job training for homeless people. What's more important than that in this society? But it's a limited number of people. They're not all from ANC 4D. So those are the reasons it's not considered a public purpose, where if you put flowers in a park, anybody can see it, and that's a public purpose. So, that's the way the law is interpreted. Okay.
Right, and I completely agree, Chair Bowser, and I would just add to that. I mean, we've seen that up close in this last round, and to be sure that folks who are still on the call and in this meeting understand, we have and Treasurer Israel has worked hard to get detailed opinions from the different regulatory agencies about how we were able to spend these funds, and we were severely limited because they had very strict interpretations about permissible use, and some of this comes down to the legal regulations of the District of Columbia, and it's not something that's in our hands. But if everyone here makes note of that, maybe we can change that.
Yeah, because it's changed over the years. In the years earlier, we could not give a grant for someone to buy candy. It just was illegal. But now it's not. So all in favor of the grant, $3,500 for Petworth Blooms, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Let's move on to Life Success Center. Very quickly.
So they, Cherie requested $3,500. There's this event on August 27th at Emory Community Center, which is currently for the next 5.5 months not an ANC 4D, but I would just note that starting January of 2023, it will be part of ANC 4D. As she mentioned, I think it's a worthy event. It's going to be open to the public. Everyone will be welcome. Her organization is going to advertise it fully throughout Brightwood Park and ANC 4D. And, I feel more comfortable donating the full amount there. I would also note that that the Office of the Attorney General, of the 4 that I had sent to them for their opinion, this was the only one where they didn't say point blank it's impermissible. What the OAG said was that they just needed a bit more information on a few things, which I think Cherie adequately explained. And so I think it does meet all the qualifications under the DC code. So
I do too. I mean, of course, it's not going to have 1,000 people, but it's open to the public, just like Spooktacular. I don't see the difference.
Right.
Yeah. And I like Cherie also, of course, lives in 4D. I know this is right outside 4D. Currently, Emory is going to be in 4D, but Cherie obviously lives in 4D, and I think she knows way more people on the Kennedy Street corridor than me, so she'll do way better. I mean, she'll do amazing outreach in 4D. So I have zero concerns about that, especially if you compare it to the outreach for the Petworth Peanuts event, which didn't have any outreach in the northern part of 4D. This certainly will.
Yeah, I think this is I don't see any downside to this one. And so it was moved. Was it moved? Did you make a motion, Zach?
I don't think I did. So I'll make a motion to approve the full $3,500 for Life Success Center's grant application.
I'll second that.
Okay, go ahead. You can second it then. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. If there's any discussion, please raise it. I'm welcoming raising it, but make it quick raise. All right. Hearing no discussion, all in favor of awarding $3,500 to STEAM and Fun, the Life Success Center, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Moving quickly on to Truesdale Family Teacher Organization.
Yes, so last but not least, Truesdale FTO, they're asking for the full $3,500. As Chris Taylor explained to us in his presentation, they've modified their application today, and I circulated that to everyone prior to our meeting starting. And as he said, the community garden activities will be fully open to the public. They're going to coordinate with Warford Mutual Aid, which is just literally 2 blocks, actually like a block away from Truesdale. It's right around the corner in 4004, which is great to see. And so, you know, similar to what we agreed to last year for Truesdale FTO, which was through food prints as well. That was open and accessible to the public. And OANC didn't have any issue with those funds at all being granted to them. So I'm not concerned with their modified application being impermissible. So I would make a motion that we approve the full $3,500 grant from the Truesdale FTO.
Do I have a second for that? I'll second it.
Wait, do we discuss? Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to discuss. I just seconded it. Yeah. So it's moved and seconded. Please make your comment, Commissioner Bouquet.
Yes, the only flag that I had was that not all activities are going to be open to community members outside of Truesdale families. And so I think the OST activities are very needed. I just wonder if we should just take that into consideration when we're making our decisions. And I'm wondering, Chris, if you're still on and are within listening radius, how much of the requested amount would be for the flag football activity, which I think is the one that you noted, you're still uncertain whether to include.
Because there are only 24 spots, right, for the flag football.
Correct. And it's $2,880 for that line item.
Okay. There's only 20 spots for flag football?
24 spots.
24
spots. Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm just processing. Just given Chair Bowser, your comment about the girls chess club earlier, that just gives me pause, just given our whole discussion with the other applicants that we just had, or about the other applicants that we just had. So I just wonder if other commissioners have similar thoughts or if not.
I know you're making a good point. I think the football, I don't know that we can sponsor that.
I think the tough part for me on this one is that the youth requested that. So that's if I heard you correctly, Chris, is that what you said, that this was?
That's exactly right. That was, yeah, the primary thing they requested last year that they didn't have. We would also add, if you don't mind, about the public benefit of the community, this public school, that its motto is excellence through equity, and committed to the most underserved members of the public, and in particular this ANC. And Truesdale Elementary is open to all families in the ANC. And frankly, our school community is pretty dismayed that school records recently showed over 200 students in the catchment choose not to attend their local school. And among the reasons are the diversity of extracurricular enrichment is not as diverse and well-resourced as in schools, especially, charters, of course, with FTOs that fundraise among DC's higher income families. And our family teacher organizations made the very deliberate decision to not be one of the parent teacher organizations that has a dues of $1,000 or suggested donation even, but to fundraise from outside the community and target it to the most needy, and just have oriented our entire 501c3 to correct the disparity that even though the city is providing equal resources to each student, we all know that with other schools' ability to fundraise outside of public funds, it ends up resulting in gross inequities.
Yeah, this
It's tough.
this is one where I think I'm willing to take a risk in funding the full amount, largely in part for the reasons that Chris just outlined. You know, again, just to reiterate, yes, there's a possibility if we do approve the full 3,500 that OANC comes back and says $2,880 of that was not allowed. We're going to deduct that from a future allotment. I think there's also a decent chance that they don't do that and we don't have any issue. It's hard to say the probability on that, maybe 50-50, it's tough to say. But part of me thinks sort of as a protest to how restrictive this is, that we still fund the full amounts that they're asking for. And, you know, I mean, we have to weigh that though at the risk of losing 2880 in the future for an allotment for the future ANC 4D, which obviously would not be ideal, but
yeah,
I just feel we have the money. It's so aggravating that we just can't spend it more freely. And then what winds up happening is just there'll be a surplus sitting in our bank account unused, and we could do that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna jump in there, Commissioner. I'm not in the business of questioning or gambling on what the regulators may or may not do. And I just, you know, I just don't know that that's the right position to take. I would be supportive of you know, funding a portion of the request, say 50%, you know, knowing that even that might be disallowed. So I think that reflects our commitment to the organization and our support of the organization. But as you know, I'm all in favor of sort of you know, different forms of nonviolent protest. But I don't know that doing that with funds in this case is sort of, you know, maybe the wisest move.
Go ahead, Chair Bowser.
I'm agreeing with Commissioner Noble that maybe we could do half, and because we did not seek clarification of this particular grant, and that, as I suggested in email earlier today, we could open grants again in September for October decision. It'll also be a new fiscal year, and you know, to possibly fund something else that the Truesdale FTO proposes. But I would say 1750, because if some of that's disallowed, it's not really putting that much, as it's a more minimal burden on the coming up commission. I mean, I'm not going to be on it, but I don't want to commit funds, take funds away from them.
Yeah, that's totally fair, and I don't disagree with that. So, and I just want to get the math right on here. So, if we do 50%, that would be $1,750.
Correct.
So let's see, 620. All right, so that would mean that at most, OANC would say, you know, $1,130 was not permitted, and that would be deducted from a future quarterly allotment of $5,000. So it would be like 20% reduction of one quarterly allotment. And so I'm willing to hedge that risk. I don't think it's an insurmountable risk for the future ANC 4D. While they might be upset at that, whomever it is serving at the time, I don't think it's a gigantic loss. So,
well, Commissioners Bouquet and Noble, is that agreeable to you, or do you think it should be cut more?
No, the opposite, actually. I'm frustrated with our parameters that we have to work with for this grant, not the Truesdale grant, the OANC and OAG parameters, the legal parameters, because I would fund this grant over the Petworth Peanuts one at the full amount in a second.
Yes. Yes.
But Chris, I'm sorry. I think that the way that Chair Bowser explained it, if there's a possibility for us to be able to reopen in September and have you apply again then. I love that you're following through with what the youth have identified as a need for them, because I think not a lot of schools do that. So thank you for doing that. So I would love for our commission to continue to try to work with you on that. But yeah, sorry, I'm just airing out my frustrations at the legal requirements right now.
It is frustrating. So are you satisfied with the 1750?
I would be more satisfied with 2000, to be honest with you. But if we reopen in September and 1750 can help fund another youth event, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my only comment would be that I just think it makes sense to set at least some sort of precedent or policy for, on a percentage basis rather than just an arbitrary number.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a motion for $1,750 for the Truesdale Family Teacher Organization?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
for awarding $1,750 to the Truesdale FTO.
Okay, I second that. Commissioners, are you ready to vote? All in favor of awarding the Truesdale Family Teacher Organization, FTO, $1,750, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. The ayes have it, and the FTO is awarded $750. All right, moving very quickly along.
Chair Bowser, if we could hear Uptown Main Street's resolution before the redistricting conversation.
Yeah, that's right, because she is probably at home now, because she's
she's on the phone.
Yeah, okay.
And
Go ahead.
just to make one note really quick, sorry, just for the math for everyone, the total amount of grant funds we approved of tonight totals $13,450, just to make that clear.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Ms. Mossy. Go ahead, Gabrielle. Star 6 yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you accommodating us and this resolution. If I may be very brief, the resolution we would like for you to support is pro Art All Night. Art All Night is an event that's been going on in the city for I think almost 20 years, but we brought it to Uptown for the first time last year, and we will do it again this September, exactly Friday, September 23rd, and we will double the number of corridors where we will have art activation. We did not need an ANC resolution in support of the event. It is an event that's actually overall sponsored by the mayor. They want us to do these events in our neighborhoods. So support from the city and all the agencies has not been an issue. But this came up this week from some other Main Street colleagues that perhaps this year some agencies would require an ANC resolution for us to hold basically a festival. So that's why we wrote the resolution, and that's why we're coming to you. We know you are in recess in August, and the event is in September, so it would leave us no time if we wait.
And tell us where the event will take place for our portion of this event.
Yes. So for ANC 4D, the activations are on Kennedy Street, and exactly 4D would be the 700 block of Kennedy Street. We are hoping to do something on the 300 block. We did not do that last year, but we're hoping to expand and include businesses on the 300 block with music. On the 700 block, last year we had music. We had a photography projection on a wall, and we hope to have a more music this time, which would be 2 venues with music. And we may do the projection on the wall of the parking lot, Johnson Jenkins again. Last year was HR Records with music. This year we hope HR Records is on board, and Ancho will also have music at different times. So that is for ANC 4D. The other activations are first block of Kennedy, but that's a different ANC, and Colorado Triangle, which I believe is, yes, that is also a different ANC. So hopefully with your support, at least in case something happens, we're covered for Kennedy Street. And we may have to go after hours or make a special request for ANC 4C because we have events planned for 14th Street.
And
again, this is more of rather be safe than sorry. Hopefully we will not need to go through a lot of permitting because we are using private space.
Okay, and the whereases, the therefore, we are asking, do you want to read what you're asking ANC 4D to agree to? Or would you like me to read it?
Sorry?
Did you want to read the?
I did not hear that.
Do you want to, would you like to read the resolve, what you're asking the commission to agree to?
Oh, yeah. So be it further resolved, therefore be it resolved that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 4D expresses its support for Uptown's participation in Art All Night 2022. Be it further resolved that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 4D calls an ABRA, DDOT, DCRA, and any other district agencies having jurisdiction over permitting matters to approve applications for endorsements associated with participation in this event. Be it further resolved that the commission authorizes the chair and the commissioners to represent the commission on this matter.
Okay.
Those are the 3.
And that's your motion. That's, well, let me make the motion. I move that the ANC 4D Commission support Uptown Main Street's initiative titled Uptown Community Initiative Participation in Art All Night 2022 that will take place Friday, September 23rd, 2022 for the purposes that are that were read in the resolve. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any quick comments?
I'd just like to say that this was a wonderful event last time. And every time I've attended, so my full support.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's any other comments? All right, we're ready to vote. All in favor of the ANC 4D resolution supporting the Uptown Community Initiative participation in Art All Night 2022 to be held Friday, September 23rd, 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Ms. Massey, I will put this in the form of our resolutions and get it signed and send it to you by Friday. Is that soon enough?
That would be great. Thank you very much for your support. We will be informing you about the upcoming activities for tomorrow. Remember, the mobile library unit will be on 6th and Kennedy along with other programming. So we hope to see you there, and we will be hopefully having a great Art All Night without any issues.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. All right, very quickly.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. The 2023
Thanks.
impacts of, pardon me? All right, the 2020, I don't mean to cut am I cutting someone off? Okay.
No.
Want to turn this over to you, Commissioner Israel, very quickly. I think someone from my single member district is gone now. I know who he is because I asked him to attend because he's interested in running, but go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that of the remaining participants, there's at least one person who would have interest in this.
I don't know if he's still here.
Well, I'll keep it brief. I know we have 15 minutes allocated. It's already 9:38, so I'll keep this very, very brief. And Commissioner Noble, if you could share the updated map of ANC 4D's new boundaries, that would be appreciated.
Yep.
Cool, thank you. So in case folks weren't aware, there was a months-long process, really the first half of the year from January until June of approving changes to the boundaries of every single member district and commission in all of DC, including all of Ward 4 and ANC 4D. And there was a task force that Councilmember Lewis George appointed members to that met between January and April. And they heard from the community, they took testimony, they met many, many times. And then the DC Council voted on legislation affirming the work of the task force in early June. And that legislation was signed into law. So these are the new boundaries that will actually be on the ballot in November 8th, the November 8th general election. So on election day, or if you vote early, these are the new SMD that you will be living in. And these boundaries, though, go into effect on January 2nd, 2023. So it can be a little confusing. You're voting in November in the new SMD that you live in, but that doesn't become effective until about 2 months later when the new commissioners are sworn in. So we just wanted to make sure our community is up to speed on these changes. I'll just quickly note that 100% of the current boundaries of ANC 4D is within the new boundaries of the new ANC 4D. And we grew from 6 single member districts to 8. So now we have a 4D08 SMD and a 4D07 SMD. And we grew to the north to where Georgia Avenue meets Missouri Avenue, where Emory Recreation Center is. And that portion of our Brightwood Park used to be still is an ANC 4B, but it's been shifted to our commission area starting in January. And then parts of ANC, the current ANC 4C, to the south have been incorporated into the new ANC 4D. South of Buchanan Street is the southwest corner between Allison and Buchanan. That's shifting from 4C to 4D. And then parts of Petworth east of Sherman Circle Park are being moved into 4D from 4C that I think Commissioner Noble, Commissioner Bouquet, and Commissioner Smith currently represent parts of that area. So these are the 8 new SMDs that will be effective for the next decade. So through 2032. And, with that, this is also an opportunity to mention that today, actually, July 20th is the first day that candidates who want to become or run for ANC, that you could pick up your petition signature forms from the Board of Elections. You have to get 25 signatures from voters who live in the new SMD that you're running in. And you have until August 10th to do that. So you have about 3 weeks to do that. And the period just opened up today. I'll just say that, obviously we're biased. We're all ANC 4D commissioners, and we feel really strongly in the institution of ANCs. And there are times that are very frustrating. I mean, I just speak for myself, but I think I can speak for everyone that it's a very rewarding experience to serve as a commissioner and serve our community to make it better. We really need good people to run who want to make a positive difference in our community. And so historically, there have been many instances where there's just no candidate that actually even files to run, which is not good because the single member district just won't have representation. And I think that's a scenario that we'd all want to avoid if possible. And so we just want to mention this on our meeting tonight because there's only 3 weeks to get the signatures to get on the ballot. I should note that candidates are allowed to run as a write-in candidate. In fact, Commissioner Smith from 4D05 was elected as a write-in candidate in 2020, proving that is possible. And you can be elected theoretically with just a handful of votes in the event that no one files to run by August 10th in your SMD. So there is like an emergency plan B. And then I'll just quickly say that, I'm just going to speak personally, and any other commissioners can welcome to talk about their determination if they're going to run or not again to serve. But I've decided personally not to run again for 4004, which I still live in. It's been a great journey, and it's a lot of extra work, and we are volunteers, and I have 2 little kids, and it's proving very difficult to do my ANC responsibilities, my full-time job, and my family life. And so for that reason, I've decided to step down. I really hope someone or multiple people decide to run in the new 4004. I'll just leave it at that. I'll stop talking. If anyone else wants to talk about their future and the SMB that they live in, the floor is yours.
I just want to say, please look at the map closely. And I think on Council Member Louis George's website, I think there's the updated map as well, the final map. And also I want to say that I'm having a single member district meeting next Tuesday. If anyone has any questions about the type of issues that you'll get, because all of them aren't talked about here at the meeting, but people, the types of issues that we work on, I can answer any questions. You can, if you want the Zoom information, Zoom or call-in information, just call me at 202. I'll put my telephone number in the chat. It's 202-882-1733. And my email is renee.bowser@anc.dc.gov. I would be in 4D08 now. And luckily I've talked to a couple people, 2 or 3 people that are interested in running. And they actually are in different parts of my single member district. So they be running in 2 separate SMDs now. One person will be running in 4D02, another person will be running in 4D08. And also, if there's any situation, I know it's really hot out to get signatures, it's pretty easy to get signatures. You could probably get 25 signatures from your single block or 2 blocks, but also for this election, you can also do a person, let's say you ask me to sign your petition, you can email me your petition and I can sign it and scan it back to you. But if I sign my own petition that's sent to me, I'm also the signer as well as the circulator. So you have to remember that. But you could send it out to, particularly this time I'm not traveling around because of foot surgery, I could sign your petition if you send it to me and I could scan it and send it back. But I would have to complete the circulator information because I am my own circulator in that regard. But that may be a way that you can get more signatures without battling the heat. But it's also good going door to door. And I think in a couple blocks, should be able to, if you're in the right, make sure you're in the single member district that you'll be running in, you can get the 25 signatures pretty quickly. That's all I have. Any other commissioners have any quick statements on that? Hearing none.
I just wanted to add very quickly that for those of you that are still on the line, to please take a look at the map, because some of these single member districts have been redrawn significantly. For example, I no longer will live in 4D03. I will live in 4D02. So just please make note of that as you go and vote in November.
Yeah, that's very key. Look at the map, because as I say, I'm in 4D08 now. If I were running, I could not get signatures from everyone that's currently in my single member district. Or if I got the signatures, they would be disqualified because they would not be signatures within the single member district I'm running. Okay, let us move to the final, which is the treasurer's report. Very quickly, and we have to approve the FY22 third quarter financial report.
Yes, I almost forgot that was still on the agenda. We have to approve the QFR in order to get it on time because we don't meet in August. So let me pull this up really quickly. Okay. So very quickly, the monthly treasurer's report for June 2022. We ended on June 30th, 2022 with $17,946.36. We don't need to vote on that. I'm just declaring that as the statement.
Can you repeat that, Zach? Sorry.
Yes, sorry, I'll slow down. $17,946.36 is the closing balance as of June 30th. Although I will note, we're going to get nearly $5,000 hopefully in the next 10 days. So it's going to be a lot more than that very soon. And then just going to the quarterly financial report, and Commissioner Noble, I don't know if you could share the document, just if it's possible, because we're going to vote on it so the public can see it. Yep. Thank you. So now just moving on to the quarterly financial report for fiscal year 2022 third quarter. This covers April 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2022. We have to file this in order to get our allotment from the Office of ANCs. We spent a total of $759.67 for communication purposes. Some of that was for Commissioner Bowser's expenses associated with her regular newsletter and her MD. Some of it was for Commissioner Noble for reimbursement for the online timer that we have for our Zoom meetings now, as you've seen tonight. And then the other $276 is in the other category, and that was for reimbursing Commissioner Bowser for our PO box for ANC4D. So we spent a total of $1,035.67 in FY22 Q3. And as I just mentioned earlier with the monthly report, we have a closing balance of $17,946.36. So I make a motion that ANC4D approves the quarterly financial report for FY22 Q3.
Second.
Sorry,
Can you repeat how much we spent again? Sorry.
Yes, sorry. So we spent a total of $1,035.67 in this quarter.
Thank you.
Any quick questions from the commissioners? Any quick questions from our attendees who are left? All right, hearing none. Commissioners, are you ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor of—
Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
No problem. All in favor of approving the ANC4D quarterly financial report for third quarter of fiscal year 2022, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it, and that's passed. And I really, we got to go to, do we want to approve the public meeting minutes? We might as well. Or do you want to wait, Commissioner?
Let's do it. We're already.
Yeah, let's do it. And Chair Bowser, I would just, going back to this, the quarterly financial report. I mean, we're looking at $1,000 of expenditures for a quarter. That does not include the $2,000 of annual expense for the Zoom. But going back to my point of a worthwhile exercise, which I think is understanding what the baseline cost of operating a commission is, I would prefer to do this on a spreadsheet with all the details in front of me. My gut tells me that it's probably not more than $10,000 a year.
True, but yeah, we need to
all in. So that's, yeah.
And we need to do that in September anyway, because we have to do a proposed budget the month before we vote on the budget. And we have to vote on the budget the first month of the fiscal year, which is October 2022. So let us do that in September, or prepare. We can prepare it before September, but you know what I'm saying. We can present that in September.
Love a budget process.
Okay, and so take it away, Commissioner Rodriguez-Bouquet.
Super exciting. So these are the draft meeting minutes from our last public meeting in June. We had presentations from Mr. Hamer, the manager of the Kennedy. We had our regulars from DC Gov provide updates. And then the special presenters were from Department of Housing and Community Development, Mr. Drew Hubbard, Miss Nicole McEntee from Office of the Tenant Advocate, and Mr. Mark Dixon from DC Public Schools, who spoke about the remodernization of Truesdale. All of their Miss McEntee's and Mr. Dixon's presentations are linked out to on our website. Mr. Hubbard did not have a presentation, but I added all his resources onto the minutes. And then we also considered and voted on a resolution supporting a notice of intent. Is that what the NOI stands for?
Yes.
Perfect. On a sort of a triangle area that's currently open to traffic near Truesdale Elementary School. We voted to close that to traffic, and we voted in support of that. So those are the major matters that were discussed and major presenters that we had in June. Sent this around earlier for everyone's review. Please let me know what your thoughts are and if we need to make any modifications.
It looked accurate to me. I read it, I think yesterday or this morning.
Great. So I move to approve the June 15th public meeting minutes.
Second. Any discussion or questions by commissioners? Hearing none. Are you ready to vote?
Let's do it.
I mean, I don't want to close out our public attendees that are hanging in there. If you have any questions on the meeting minutes for the June 15th meeting, please speak up. Okay, hearing none, we're ready to vote. All commissioners, all in favor of approving the minutes for the Wednesday, June 15, 2022 ANC 4D virtual public meeting, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I hear several ayes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Well, the ayes have it.
And for the record, for Commissioner Bouquet's purpose, Eric Smith is not here.
I just saw that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Zach, was he, sorry, Commissioner Israel, was he here for the Treasury vote?
I was not paying attention, to be quite honest with you. If there was another commissioner that noticed, please speak up, but I can't confirm or deny.
we can ask him. We can ask him. Okay. I mean, we still have a quorum, so we're good. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in there. Again, if anyone who's interested in running has any questions, please give me a call, or you can attend our SMD meeting. Please give me a call or email me and let me know, and I'll send out the information to you. We have a month recess. We are off in August, and we resume September 21st. We'll resume meeting. We'll still be virtual, that meeting. It'll be in the coming months after that we have to move to in person, or at least hybrid. And so have a happy summer recess, and hope to see you all in September. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.